All right. And we are live. The last word, Lord Cognito, Ebontis, TieGuy, Travis, fresh on that returning Thursday evening campfire, and fresh off a little bit of GCX, little reviews, little things going on in people's little giggix, minus our beloved Scion. But it was still good to see E for a little bit. But E, how we doing, Cheetah? What's going on, man?
Doing good. Actually, just a couple hours ago, I was playing. I wanted to, because like I've been wanting to I finally just made a couple hours today, and this is like the perfect Steam. Dave the Diver. I know Travis already talked about it.
Yeah.
He loved it. He got like he gave it a 9 before, and honestly, I'm like 2 hours in. I have never seen a kind of pixel indie game with like cinematic animations that go so hard. It is absolutely ridiculous. I was even telling my wife, I'm like, all right, so you're like, you got a new recipe. So the sushi chef pulls out his knife, shing, and gets into this big cinematic thing kind of going, and then finally like sheathes his sushi knife, and you're like, here's your new dish. And it's just like the most ridiculous over the top stuff, but it's just this little cycle, and it's like everything happens fast. Like every time you go down for a dive, you get something new. Every time you do your sushi thing, you come back, you get something new. So it's just this like constant progression. I mean, if I was on a Steam Deck, I would probably sit on my couch for hours or something, but it is exactly what Travis said. It is a large man who scuba dives, who helps run a sushi shop, and you've got the little like restaurant thing where you're like, what dishes am I going to serve? And then you have to serve them, so it's a little like Diner Dash running back and forth. You got to make sure you got enough wasabi. You got to make sure you're good there. And then
overcooked energy with that. Did he overcooked energy in that part?
It's raw, dude.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Overcooked. No.
It's really like I don't know how to describe it, man. It's just like it puts a few different types of games together. Like it kind of feels like a little bit of like
the
a
serving of Diner Dash without
game.
the other part.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It basically, if I had to describe it, I would say the entire game is just a hodgepodge of different mini games that somehow work together in a weird way. Like everything feels like just a bunch of mini games, and like the farther you get into it, you're like, all right, so now I'm past all the new mini games. Like there's not going to be any new surprises, and then they just keep adding them. They like for the entire run of the game, they just keep adding mini games. It's
like
so
the
fun.
vibe when you're diving, especially when you start finding like extra oxygen, you're just like, I could vibe out down here, swimming around, dodging some fish, like jamming to the music. It is a whole vibe. But when you do any of those like cinema, man, I was crafting a new underwater weapon. Dude, when he puts on the headphones, he throws on like these like Matrix style gloves and stuff. And, oh my god, it's just so
that was the David.
Yes,
like,
that was
they're like, it's so good.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like Cog, it's really hard to explain this game. You just have to
literally
play it.
Cog, literally play it for just like an hour or two. 2 hours.
It sounds like the perfect. I've been on my ROG exclusively because I've been traveling so much.
Do it on there.
So it feels like the perfect ROG game.
When I was reviewing it, I was playing it on the ROG Ally a lot.
Oh, okay, so. Perfect. Is it how much is it, or is it a Game Pass?
It's like 20.
20?
It's cheap.
Yeah, it's like I bought it. It was like 20-25. It's not anything major. So there's that. I've been watching a game surpass the Metacritic of Zelda. We have Baldur's Gate 3 coming in real hot.
We do.
I did not know that. It passed.
It got to 97. Yep, it got to 97. Now I will say, like, that is a game I also would love to try, but I don't have like we're getting down to like 12 days left till whatever, and I'm like, I don't know if I can go into like a 100-hour RPG right now. But I was like, from the only thing I've gathered is it is
left till what? Till what's
August 22nd, the showcase and all that stuff.
Yeah,
all that and new season. New season, all that stuff going down. Yeah,
that's it. Oh yeah, that.
But yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 looks like. I mean, if you want to see what happens, all I can say, I've seen people kicking a squirrel, and it's just like you can play fetch with a dog. It seems like they accounted for just about almost everything you can think of. Not all of it, of course, but a lot of things. And I mean, it is D&D, which I am not an expert on. I would lean to Travis, but I mean, I see stuff about like persuasion and like, you know, are you able to like fight it out or talk it out and all those different things. And you got dice rolls in there, and I'm going, part of me would love to just like fall into that for a while, because it does seem that well reviewed that there's enough going on. And man, when they get close up on some of those character shots, they're real crisp. So real Playing that thing on 4K. Atlas Fallen, I'm not seeing the best stuff on. It seems like it's kind of like 6.8, 6 to 7-ish. I've played like
give it a 7. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen somewhere in that realm, and
the reviewer was like, it's good, you know, it's all right.
An okay pass your time, and then yeah, it's like so. Seems like it's kind of okay, but I was like, man, Dave the Diver of Alders would be a thing until the 22nd, then of course. So yeah, but seriously, like if you have any mobile device, Steam Deck 2, ROG Ally, any of those two, or you just got a PC and you want to play for a little bit.
You guys seriously, call it the ROG Ally.
It's the ROG.
It's ROG.
I call it the Rogue Ally because I think that sounds super sick.
I mean, that would have been a better name, but they have the Republic of Gamers Ally, which is way too long. So
yeah, it's way too long. Plus, ROG sounds like COG, and I'm running with it.
Who's gonna call it the ROG Ally, bro? That
should just be the Asus Ally, and it's just under the name, the banner of Republic
of
Gamers.
Asus is too long. Why would you?
One syllable.
I like Rogue Ally. Rogue Ally rolls off the tongue. Sounds like you're being a rogue because you're playing it.
Rogue Ally.
Cool.
Rogue from the Steam Deck. You know, it's doing its own thing.
It's doing its own thing on the side.
Yeah. Like seriously, just the first 2 hours, I'm like, this is just a fun, ridiculous game. Please, like, enjoy.
Did you play any Remnant as well, Kyle?
Yeah, how's your Remnant going?
Oh, I mean, I was at like you. Yeah, I mean, I'm like at 85, 90 hours. Like I've done most of that.
A business decision because I knew what was going to happen. I was getting Diablo. I was doing season 2. And I knew my curiosity. Malignant, right? Is it season 1? Sorry, whatever the Malignant Heart thing. Right. Which I didn't realize I had to make a new character, but then I ended up falling in love with a necromancer now. So I'm like, oh, I like necromancer.
Wait, you didn't know you had to make a new character?
Well, I didn't know that.
I was like so literally everywhere. Like Paul was talking about, like everywhere was talking about that.
I'm literally starting it, and they're like, yeah. So where's your new guy? Because you can't bring what you love in here. I was like, what? I was like, why can't I use my song? So I got over it. Once I got over
the case for
everyone, all Diablo being said, yo, bro, this is how it is. But I'm like, it's stupid. But anyway, I got over it. I got out of my feelings.
Some people agree with that though.
Yeah, I was like, what if I don't ever want to play with anybody else? Because I'm playing like I'm Destiny, like a Warlock. But anyway, so I fired up the Necromancer. Had a ton of fun with like the bone shard build or whatever it is, and my little minions, and I was doing that. But honestly, the reason why I stayed away to your question is because I knew Baldur's Gate would get me a little. I knew my turn-based sensibilities, that game and skill checks. Oh, and then, bro, it actually has full controller support on the ROG. So while I was out there, I was playing it when I was out there with what you call it, GCX and the Leviathan.
Yeah, because I didn't see you for one of the whole damn days.
Hey, that deck connected HDMI, very nice to the TV.
Yeah, okay. Bro, so the convention, hold on, pause. Literally, the convention is Friday and Saturday. No, I didn't see him on the convention floor Saturday. Period. I saw him.
Wait, you didn't come out of your hotel room?
No, it wasn't exactly that.
He may have like ducked out for food and run back. I never saw him on. I was like, hey, where you at? Hey, where you at?
Yeah, did go over briefly.
He didn't announce it to anybody. He's like stealthing in and running.
Stealthing it. Did I announce it on Friday when we ran into each other?
He was callous. He was just sitting in his bed, you know, having someone feed him grapes. Probably.
Oh, the room service was superb. It was exquisite.
You got room service?
Oh, absolutely. I bet
I didn't know this was a podcast about how well you're doing, Cog. God damn. I'm at
the Leviathan, baby. Go back from strength.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a resort.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was real
nice. Must be nice, bro.
I'm over here bringing like bars in my backpack over here, having those for breakfast. This man's over here just room service. And order me some next time. Damn.
Premium experience, bro. But now, all jokes aside, Baldur's Gate. I knew I was going to want to play it. And then what really sold me is that the fact that it had the cross progression so that whenever the Xbox or PlayStation versions does come out, I can still continue because I know what's going to happen with
PlayStation, Xboxes, you know.
Yeah, that's whatever that is, right? Because of split screen, right? But at the end of the day, I like the fact that it had that aspect like Diablo, and you could play it offline. So it had a lot of key features. I'm like, you know what? I can start it now and be okay. And then when Starfield comes, then all my direction to Starfield. But that's been it for me. What's been up with you, Trav, man? What you been doing, man?
This man was not at GCX, just to clarify.
Yes,
I was not at GCX. I'm sorry, guys. I have a lot of stuff to work on. But
you've been a busy man.
Yeah, I did play a little bit of Baldur's Gate 3. I think probably 10 or 12 hours or something like that.
A little bit.
I'm enjoying it.
It's like the length of a normal game.
okay. For me, that's one sleepless night.
Yes and no.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a good game. It sort of feels. I know I messaged you guys about this. Some of my thoughts as we were talking about it earlier. It kind of just feels like a throwback game. Like, you know, back in the day, Baldur's Gate 3 would have been like the game of the year, hands down. Everyone would be playing it constantly, and now it sort of feels a little bit like a throwback game. Like, it's like old. It's like, oh yeah, I remember these games when they made like these big open world games where you got to talk to your party member and it had social links and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. My biggest problem with it is that it's a D&D game. I feel like it really holds back the creativity of Larian Studios, who've made games like Divinity Original Sin, which I would say the world was a little bit more like specific. D&D is a very generic world by design so that you can fill it with your imagination. And I feel like they made this game within the confines of like, hey, don't upset the D&D classic fans and world. And so it plays it a little bit safe in terms of like story and world building in a way that I don't love. I would have liked them to choose or make a more unique setting would be good. But
let me ask you this. Somebody who is not a hardcore D&D or tabletop guy like you are, and potentially a lot of people, is this a way for people to kind of see some of the experience of how all those mechanics kind of work together? And if it's like a first early experience, is this going to be a good step for them?
Yeah, I think it will get people into the tabletop hobby, which, you know, I'm not a fan of Dungeons and Dragons in real life. I like other tabletop RPGs, but anybody who's like me who likes tabletop RPGs but doesn't really mess around with D&D has to give D&D credit because they get people through the door. Like, they get people into the hobby. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't have the vast group of players that come over to my house and play around my table every month if it weren't for D&D, because that's how everybody got started. And so I think it's cool, and I hope it gets more people into the hobby. In terms of actually feeling like an RPG, I do feel like they hide a little bit of the mechanics from you. They show you some stuff, like you're rolling the dice and you're seeing advantage and you're making saving throws, but the actual mechanics of like specific checks are a little, the specific stats that you're using are hidden a little bit. I actually think the Pathfinder games do a better job because if you haven't played the Pathfinder games, they made 2 recent ones, Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous. That's it. And no, and those games are actually campaigns that you can buy physically as books already. So they were existing Pathfinder books, and then the developers just said, let's just recreate these campaigns in their entirety in a video game, and they put in the specific encounters and the specific characters and the specific mechanics, and it opens up the mechanics a lot. That said, it does make it a lot jankier, so it might not be a great like first foray. It's kind of for people who really like Pathfinder and want to do that when their friends aren't around. But yeah, I do think this will get people through the door and get them interested in tabletop RPGs, which I'm a big fan of, because then I can convince them that there's much better tabletop RPGs than D&D. But yeah, it's good. And I think the game succeeds. Like, Larian is such a talented studio. I do feel like their talents are a little wasted on the D&D IP, but I do think that this game wouldn't be as popular without the D&D IP, because people love D&D. And I feel like Divinity Original Sin probably wasn't as popular, in part because it didn't use an established IP. It made its own. So I'm okay with what they're doing, and I think it's going to upgrade their prestige enormously, which they deserve it. They've been one of the most talented RPG studios for a while, and the fact that more people are going to play their games is just an absolute win. So I'm excited for it, and I've been playing that. But yeah, I've also been reviewing games. I've got 2 reviews going live next week. On Monday, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is going to be live for everybody to read. I played like 25 hours of that in the past 3 days or so. So I've been playing an absolute ton of that. And then I've also reviewed Blasphemous 2 a couple weeks ago.
How was that?
For whatever reason, I can't talk about it.
Fair.
For whatever reason, they gave us those codes way in advance. So I finished reviewing it a long time ago, but it's still not going live until
that one's
17th.
And a side scroll action 2D.
Yeah.
It's a Metroidvania.
Okay,
like
cool.
by the book. It's by the book, Metroidvania. So if you played the first one,
from what I saw.
Yeah, I did a preview of the game a couple months ago that I can talk about, which was like the first 30 minutes or whatever. Which basically, if you played the first one, it was very much like a straightforward fighter more than it did platforming or puzzles. This one goes like full Metroidvania by focusing a lot more on platforming and puzzles and some of that stuff. And so you get 3 different weapons, and they each have advantages and skill trees. And then they also give you traversal options. So though, as you get more weapons, you unlock different ways to get through barriers and backtrack and do all that fun stuff that you like about Metroidvanias. And then it has a little bit of a Souls-like vibe to it with its like difficulty and the fact that bosses will slap you in the face and knock you back down.
Yeah,
but
a lot of those lately, like
I don't compare it to a Souls-like because people compare the first one to a Souls-like a lot, which when I played it, I was like, this is just a Metroidvania. Like, I don't understand why people think it's a Souls-like. Because it's true that when you rest at the bonfires or the save points or whatever, all the enemies come back. But that's also true in Metroid games. So like, that's not unique. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get why people like reference Souls-likes when they talk about these games. But I got to play that game from beginning to end a couple weeks ago. So my review is just sitting waiting to go. And then 7 days from today, I'm going to be playing Starfield. I'm not on the review for that one, but I'm going to be helping with guides and videos and that sort of stuff and whatever else they need me to. So I'm going to get a copy day one and just start playing it through. And when I can talk about it, I will. But I'm actually kind of stoked I'm not reviewing it because I like to chew my food a little bit. But those RPGs don't come, and I was prepared to go goblin mode if they.
I like that you say that goblin mode.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why. That's why I was on the docket. Normally, I would never be up for something like Starfield, but I kind of have developed a niche at the company where if it's a short turnaround and there's somebody who doesn't have kids or loved ones or any responsibilities,
someone has no general responsibilities, Travis.
Yeah, exactly. Like they know I have nothing in my life, so they're like, just give it to Travis. God. He'll
give
get
it Mikey.
done.
He'll eat it.
Yeah, exactly. That's literally it. Yeah. So yeah, they were prepared to have me do it because they thought that the rumor at the time was that the codes were going to come in pretty late, and they didn't know if anybody was going to be able to go, full goblin and finish it in time. But I'm not going to have to do that, which is kind of cool. So instead, I'm going to review some other games. I'm going to review Liza P. I'm going to review Lords of the Fallen. Maybe Payday 3. We'll see. But that's the other cool thing about not reviewing Starfield is that I have time for other stuff.
Yeah, that one will kind of eat it up.
I'm also going to make some content for Remnant 2 and stuff. So I got lots of projects, man. I'm excited.
Nice. Hey, real quick, before we start, I do want to give some shout outs. With the GCX crew, a lot of people that we cross paths with. Oh, okay. I didn't know if you
No, go ahead. Yeah, you can start.
Yeah, just want to shout out. Obviously, Sarko pulled up. It was cool to see him. Back for that in the chat. Awesome. So many people, man. The Infinity was awesome. PattyCakes. Finally got a chance to meet Mano in real life, which is dope. Garrow, awesome as always. You know what I'm saying? That was fun talking to him. You would appreciate this, Trav. I created like a drunk game at one of the bars after the event on Friday, and
so it's not a drunk game because there was no drinking involved. It was a
we was drunk and then we started the game.
That's fair. Yeah, this was it very well could be a drinking game.
Yo, it was fun. So, shout out to Thought Zero there. Thought Zero.
Thought Zero. Yeah, Thought Zero refilled my martini, and I was like, all right,
Thought Zero. You that's the homie right there. I got so much love. Let me tell you, man. I wasn't able to get my drink at the bar. Thought Zero held me down. He's like, yo, Cog, I got you. Don't worry about it. And the man worked magic. But anyway, so basically we had a group of Destiny nerds all by this table, Trav. It's about I got like 9. I got more people jumping in. So the game is pretty much you have to go either by category, whether it be kinetic, energy, or heavy. You pick a weapon, and then you got to keep going. The other one cannot pick your weapon. So you start to realize after a while, you're like, damn, I'm running out of kinetic exotics, you know what I'm saying? Or legend, and then you got to keep going. And people, like, what was happening was like there was like 2 other warlocks at the table, and they kept taking picks that I was thinking of, and I'm like, oh my god, like I'm running out of weapons. So it was this hilarious banter. It was absolutely fun. E joined in later.
Well, I got there late, and then I had to change the game.
I would suck at that game.
Well, okay. So here's what happened: is I got to the game late. So we were going through like it always like it would get around to me, pick a category, and be like, okay, exotic, whatever, or legendary, whatever. And then finally get to the point, I'm like, everybody's staring at their phone, just looking at a list. I'm like,
people cheating.
What?
And then I was like, okay, after a few rounds, I was like, put the phones down.
Yeah,
and then they just started dropping like flies. I was like,
people started getting eliminated.
Whoa, that's cheap, bro.
Yeah,
I mean, if I get to use my phone, I'll beat all of you. Come on, that's so stupid.
You're right. And as soon as E said that, and we put a time up, people started dropping real quick. Like flies. Yeah, people started dropping. It was fun. But
wow. So I mean, if E was playing with both hands tied behind his back while everybody else was using their phones, aka super cheating. Hats off to E for even sticking around.
He did his thing.
E
did his thing. He had some good Titan exotics, some obscure ones he was picking.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. E would beat both of us, Cog, like easily.
He was in there, man. He was in there.
Yeah.
It
would be me. I would get like to 2, dude. I would be like at the second one.
Sarko went hard.
Sarko went hard. And there's a couple. There was another dude. I forget his name. He was a Warlock at the end of the table with glasses. He was picking really good Warlock exotics. I was getting mad at him. Yeah. So salute there. Also, Trav, you'd have been better. Finally met Stadia time.
We met the banana.
We met the. We like, bro, like. You're
so now you know what he looks like when his banana's unveiled.
Dude, I gotta, when his banana has been peeled,
he showed us who he was when the cameras were off, right? Like,
no, I don't know. We kept his identity was secret.
Like nobody really knew besides Fallout. I think is the only one because they kind of live close.
And then he was just like, "Hey, I'm the banana."
Yeah, it was dope. He was in cosplay. And then I didn't know it was him. He was
in cosplay.
Yeah, he was in cosplay on the floor.
Yep. He was in cosplay.
No, not the banana. I told him to do the banana next year. I told him he has to come back as the banana.
He was in cosplay and he wasn't cosplaying a banana. I'm very confused.
Yeah, he was just like hunter. He was like his hunter or something.
Bro, things have changed since Stadia got canceled. He's not the same banana he once was. He's all brown and mushy. You know?
I didn't know. I went to go take a pic with I forgot her chick. She's awesome. She had an awesome Petra. Right, Petrovenge. So, this is Petra.
What is this? What was the Petra?
I mean, he had
a good Petra. Whoa, Cog.
Delete that from the street. We ain't trying to get canceled.
I'm just muted over here, blowing nose. I don't know what happened.
If you know what I mean.
You know what I mean. But
I do know what you mean, unfortunately.
Yo, you a fool. Anyway, while I was talking to Petra, I saw this cool hunter suit. So I'm like, hey, man, who are you? What's going on? He's like, bro, I'm Stadia time. I'm like, wait a minute, the Stadia time? He's like, oh, Lord Cognito. So then we started talking, and obviously we talked down. So he was there. It was so many people. And then also, shout out, I mean, we got a shout out, and we're going to talk about them later, about this state of the game. But shout out to Bungie for pulling up to one of the, I believe it was kind of like a developer, content creator,
content creator,
Cosmo, what's the homie?
Andy LeCune, Chef Andy, and then Jared Ludi, and then Broman was Broman was moderating.
Yeah, and trying to improve that relationship. And again, it wasn't about the state of the game per se. That it wasn't directly to that, but it was more so like, hey, we got Chef Andy here. We're working on trying to help, the relationship as far as creators and what they need and versus Bungie and stuff like that.
Trying to rebuild it because there wasn't anybody in his position.
Yes.
Oh, it sounds like somebody's actually trying to like figure out with creator. I mean, you would sit there and he's like, I mean, he's trying to figure out, a lot of people want to work with Bungie for obvious reasons. Destiny's big, but he's like, give me a reason why, whether it's like whatever you do, it's like we might be able to figure it out. But also the other side, he's like, I want to make things just like easier. It's like, do you want assets for this? It's like, do I just need a code or like whatever? He was like, and not just that type of stuff, but it was, I talked to him on the floor for about 20, 30 minutes and he was just kind of really, really, really well-spoken, nice guy, but also very smart.
And I love what he said in relation to how we can help them by describing how it helps our community and why we need said things, and kind of just detail the steps was really cool. Oh, and shout out to Ty, LordCognito.net. Ty's in the building. So cool to hang out with Ty and everybody. It was so many people I missed. Oh, Dunsky, it was so many people. It was just good to see people again, and the energy was for the most part really good. So anybody that came up, shot a picture, said what's up to us, it was just really awesome. And there's Trav you were asked about. It was fun too. He's like, we missed our Scion. We like, where's he at?
Yeah, I did a whole thread, and I didn't even like save all of the pictures that were in there, but it was I mean, we got like Scarrow, we had Castle,
Miners, G Miners too.
Yeah, it was like MP Edits, Aeon, Stadia Time, Fallout, of course, looking dapper. He was like shoutcasting the G1 match.
Yeah, the PvP.
That final match went down to like best of 9 to the final round. Like it was a really, really tight match. Mactix was there, Ballistic Kitty, Babazard was there, Clintus, King Gavalion was there, Amaze was there, PattyCakes, as you said. Ares pulled up. Actually, I finally got to meet him in person.
I missed Ares. He hit me
you
up
in your hotel room getting food service.
I was
one of the whole days not on the floor.
No, it's because he was too busy looking at them Petras on the laptop movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
I the Petras at Baldur's Gate.
Look at the Petras on her.
Oh my word! We've ruined a character in Destiny. I'm sorry.
That was good. That was good.
All right. Well, we're half an hour in, and we have a state of the game to talk about.
Yeah, we're half an hour in, and we've just been bullshitting. And
what's up, everybody? Welcome to the actual Destiny podcast. 30 minutes later. Timestamp that puppy. So state of the game dropped literally. I don't know how well they timed this one, or very intentionally timed, because who knows? As everybody was traveling to GCX, state of the game, bloop. So a lot of people didn't get to talk about it. I think Datto used Leopard's like setup to record his video and upload it to his channel. But general summation, you know, they're still working on putting stuff together in final shape. So there are quite a few teams who put this state of the game together. It wasn't just written by Joe this time. Felt a little more of a collaboration effort. First thing they talk about is ritual updates, and this is what started it all. Like, this is the one that opened the can of worms for the entire GCX of everybody just to talk about it and kind of be upset. Now, the main line, I'm not going to read through everything. I'm going to hit the higher topics because these are the ones to debate. And I will tell you, a lot of people are like, I really want Travis's hot takes on this one. I don't want them to simmer down after a week. So,
people were asking for you.
Yeah, people were like, I wish we had.
Like, where is he? We
need a fresh Travis right now. But we got him now, so we're going to do our best. So let's see. I'm trying to find the right line.
What of the glorious stated game?
No. Okay, one lower. Okay, here I am. So first thing that blew up, the most frequent feedback we see is that it's just not enough PvP content, especially new maps. To set expectations, our studio structure is built to support more overarching updates to PvP like the ones above, like new modes, revamps to comp and trials and stuff like that is what they're referencing, rather than focusing exclusively on maps. When we do focus our resources on building new Crucible maps, it comes with the trade-off of multiple teams' bandwidth on work that contributes to a variety of experiences that players hold dear, such as new story, exotic mission content, core activities that make up the foundation of each season, or new destinations. Similarly, bringing back reprised maps also involves extensive porting to the latest version of Destiny 2, which requires additional resources to ensure the maps work correctly for multiple game modes and playstyles for years to come. That's like the main paragraph to start off with. We'll get to the map and stuff a little bit later. Travis, thoughts on what was said?
I find Bungie's answer to be woefully insufficient, to the point where it feels really disingenuous to me. Like, just that entire statement, it feels like, first of all, I never, ever want to hear any of you guys talk about PlayStation money bags ever again. Like, ever. They're straight up telling us, hey, it's too expensive, too many resources to give you a multiplayer map, so we're not going to do it. Which is like, guys, you can hire more people. You just got acquired. You're a successful studio. You're making a second game. We know you're working on stuff. We know you have other resources, and we know you could hire more people because you just became a fully remote company that now can recruit from anywhere in the world, presumably, but at least North America. And I thought their answer, honestly, was kind of manipulative, to be honest. It's sort of telling people like, hey, you know, it's just, we got problems and I guess you should forgive us. This is a thing I've noticed is that, and look, I love the changes that have been made in recent years to the work environment. I love that people talk about work-life balance, and I love that they talk about mental health and stuff like that. I think that sometimes those words are used as shields to provide subpar products and services to players, and it pisses me off. It really does. Because this is, I mean, I honestly, I get it, like, but none of this is the player's problem. We're players, and we've been told time and time again that they are going to recommit to Crucible and that it's still a priority for them and that it's still a pillar that they build their game on. And then they give us answers like this that just say, hey, not only do we not think it's worth it, but we're actively doing nothing to invest in it. And here's a list of excuses why. And I don't think any player should read that and feel like it is a satisfactory answer, like it's acceptable, like it's your problem that you should have to even think about this stuff because you're not the developer, you're the consumer, right? And I don't think that it's even in line with what Bungie has promised recently
much less
about what their priorities were.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like, that's in the grand scheme, considering that they've delivered almost nothing in the time since they made that promise. I would expect them to have been working on this and on some of this stuff at this point. And so honestly, reading between the lines, the only thing that I could see was we don't make money off of Crucible. We're not going to develop for it. Here's a tepid answer to maybe get the simps that love us to defend us publicly online from our cowardly answer. That's honestly what I took from this. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's nothing like that. But honestly, if you read that answer and had anything but disappointment at the very least, I think you need to look in the mirror and ask who you're advocating on behalf of. Are you defending Bungie, or are you standing up for your fellow players, gamers, consumers of this product? And I don't know how anybody could read that answer and see it as anything but, at the very least, disappointing, at the most piss you off. Obviously, don't come after developers. They're people. They're working on the game. I'm not advocating for anything like that, but I think that you can politely say, Bungie, this is unacceptable. It's not a cool answer. And honestly, I'm sure we'll get into it when we talk about the rest of this thing, but this reads to me as what the White House calls a take out the trash day. So this is there's a thing in the press secretary in the White House does a thing where on Fridays they take out the trash, which is that Friday at 4 they put out all of the bad news, and they hope that the weekend and journalists not wanting to work on Friday evenings and all that stuff, it just doesn't get covered because by Monday morning or Saturday morning, there's already new stuff to cover. And I honestly think that a week or so before August 22nd, when they're going to build up a bunch of hype, they dropped all their bad news and heartbreakers right at the same time. And that's what this reads. But I mean, this is why I don't call myself a PvP main. And I would honestly say that no one is a PvP main in Destiny. What are you maining? Saying that you're a PvP main is like saying I stopped playing video games. That's what I hear, because I don't know how you could do it. But I mean, this honestly, I read it and I was immediately pissed off. You know, I stopped. I went and played some other games. I forgot about it, and then I read it again, and I just felt disappointment because I'm one of those guys who I've been hard on Destiny in the past, but I've also been a huge advocate for this game. I think anybody who looks at my record and says, oh, Travis is an atrophied player, he's, he just hates Destiny now. It's not true, dude. I gave the Witch Queen an 8 out of 10. I said it was the best expansion that Destiny's had a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, whenever it was. And I've been harsh on it in the Lightfall era, but I think with reason. Biggest fans of things are also their biggest critics. And I'm a harsh critic of Destiny when it deserves it. And I think right now with that state of the game post, the state of the game read to me dead and dying. That's what the state of the game was based on that post. I also think it's terrible that they called that state of the game. They could have called that post anything else. I mean, like the fact that your headline is like, you know, state of the game, and then your body reads life support. Like, that's just a terrible title for a blog post that has that bad news you delivered.
Well,
so
previously in
I don't
State of
know.
the Games too, we've had big info drops, big like updates to things that are coming. I mean, a State of the Game dropped, I mean, at least bigger info. This was, as you said, you know, maintenance, survival, and stuff like that. But also, it's to a point. Christopher Sharp said it in chat. Is like, I don't know why they dropped this. I mean, I do get the take the news out on Friday thing. That's why they did some of what they're saying, to get like just this information. At some point, we got to get it out. It's got to be out before all the hype starts. But also, I read through this. I'm like, you're not telling me much of anything, because you can't. You have the showcase in like 2 or 3 weeks when you are going to do whatever reveal you're going to do, good, bad, or otherwise. That may be amazingly hype, but there's not of anything good in here. And as you said, State of the Game, that actually is a very good point. It's a bad title for sure. This one is, though, it's a
terrible title.
It's like, you can go back to the 2021 State of the Game, and people have like referenced that to me in my comments and stuff, because I went through and kind of talked through it a bit too. And they're like, they said they were going to invest in the PvP teams back in 2021, and it still hasn't really been done. And that's something that they said they wanted to do. So in 2 years later, you're like, what am I supposed to think? How do I get to a point to where...
I also just think none of the reasons they gave are material to me. To me, it's like, oh, it takes resources. Okay, hire resources then. It sounds like you need to recruit some people. Like, get some resources on it. You just got acquired by a large company. You have support from them. You're telling me they don't want to support your PvP mode and your flagship product? Like, I just don't buy it. It reads to me as utter bullshit, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. It does seem very... I mean, they made a choice years ago. Obviously, people were like counting up to 1,000 days since they'd seen a PvP map. Then we get Disjunction, which a lot of people, and it seems to be probably, if you dig into it, the Disjunction even was like a reskin of, maybe it's Frontier, is basically the one with the big bridge from D1. So they brought that map forward. The Vex Network one that we're actually going to be getting might have a cool palette to it, maybe a brand new one. But I was listening to, I think it was DCP, and they were talking about like, they said, hey, here's a map, but they're also like, they didn't talk about, hey, we're working on other maps for Final Shape. There was no mention of anything in the future. So you're like, here's your one, like, kind of be happy kind of thing. But it is like, okay, so that's the question that I would have. This is the point where it's like, I don't want to, like, you know, fire back too hard, but this is where, as you said, as a player, I want to ask the question to say, okay, you say your studio isn't designed for this. 2 years ago, you said you were going to invest in PvP. That doesn't seem to have happened. What does it take to do this? And we're never going to know the inside workings of Bungie. That's fine. We're not going to know how their teams are set up and everything. And there's actually a really good Twitter thread of a guy that I'm potentially going to interview here pretty soon. So look for that one coming up. But he broke down what it would take, and I'm like, okay, if that's what it would take, and as Travis said, you've got a huge investment from Sony, you've got like financial backing now, so you should at least be a lot more comfortable than when you were independent. And you say this is something you want to invest in 2 years ago, all the stats that I keep seeing are there's like half the player base still plays PvP. Somewhere, either, as Travis said, it's like it's fair to be pissed off because a lot of the players want it. You've said it before, and you just keep saying, no, you're not. And then you have chosen not to set your studio up in a way that helps you build maps when previously you worked on Halo, you had Marathon. It's like, I know it takes time from reading that Twitter thread to build a space to play. And I think that's one of the questions I want to ask him is like the amount of time it takes to gray box it and then have the art people do it and then work on like kill volumes and all that stuff. Like that's different. And then you got to have different people test it. And maybe that's taking away from stuff that's seasonal work, because that's how they state it could be from story, seasonal, exotic quests. But if that's how tight the team is, like if it's just got to be like maybe the seasonal teams trying to build Crucible maps, I want to know what the other people are doing, because you've got season, expansion, whatever else is in the future. It does seem to a point where, I mean, as Travis said, it's like, this doesn't seem to be a satisfactory answer when they've preached it up for a while. And then we get to a point to where now they say the studio isn't built for it. It's like, well, what have you been building for? Because obviously
That's the question.
It doesn't, I'm like, is there a future for PvP at that point? Because if you're not building for maps, and I think in my head, I won't know. It's like, I'll ask that guy just out of curiosity, but it's like, you can have all the maps that we have and maybe porting ones even forward takes a little bit. But also when you're like, we've joked about exotic gun game or whatever like that. And they do seem to be messing with modes, but that takes, it seems like a smaller lift to be like, here's spawn points. These things spawn in at a timer. Like, then you're just kind of adjusting dials for PvP. You're not messing with like actual play spaces. And if that's the easier thing to do, and that's how your studio is set up, that's fine. But they also do not mention, hey, our studio's not set up right now. Are you going to change that?
Do that, right. It just was like, hey, this is it. And oh, well.
Yeah, that's the biggest question is like, you say you're not there. It's like,
the games were not support. We do not have a plan or any current support for PvP. And we offer no solution about what the future is going to look like for that. It truly is. I mean, it's like usually when you hear state of the game, you imagine that they're going to talk about the future, but they just stated what the current situation is, which is bad, and then offered no. And like, also, I feel like I should point out that the reason I feel like it's really important to detach the player from the problem, because it's not your problem, right? You're a consumer who just wants the thing to exist, is that there are so many solutions to this. You could get a support studio,
contract them out,
contract it out. It's like, it's happened before. You could outsource it literally to players using a level creator that lots of games have implemented. In fact, you made one, Bungie. You made several games with level creators. It was called Forge Mode. It still exists. And guess what? They made their own multiplayer game modes using that as well. And like, I know that requires a lot of investment, but if you're going to comment on the future of PvP, your answer should either be, we don't care about it anymore, it's dead, which I would still be upset, but at least you'd be clear. Or it should be, we're making the investments and here's the direction we're going. But the answer of, we just can't do it, is like such a just flop of an answer. I can't respect that answer. I just can't.
I mean, if I may jump in.
Oh yeah, you're up. I probably talked enough too.
Yeah, look, this was really disheartening. I haven't felt this bad probably since Curse of Osiris. I mean, it was really disappointing to read that. And to me, it's kind of like, I always try to separate my emotionality when I don't like something and try to look at the practical reason as to why it's going on. The only thing I can come up with is that they took a bet on something not Destiny. Whatever they're betting on, or whatever these other projects are, whatever's going on, Marathon, whatever it is basically coming off as if Destiny is where it's going to stay right now. That's just how it read to me. And frankly, I agree. Like, that's not my problem. Like, I've invested here. This is where I'm at. Right now, we could see, hopefully Marathon is great. You know what I'm saying? And it does what it does to do. But I guess my thing for me is that the verbiage almost read like, well, we notice players are not playing this. And we didn't even talk about Gambit, right? We notice players ain't, engaged.
A whole other thing I'm going to go off on, don't worry.
Right. So as a result of players not playing this, we're not going to do anything else with it. To me, you've self-sabotaged. You've created that whole problem, because
this is the theme ongoing in this thing. Yeah, you said it.
If you actually invested in the modes like we want you to, and you took away stuff from Gambit, you took stuff in the vault, you did all this stuff, and then you wonder why people are not engaging when you don't invest back into the content that you yourself subtracted from. This is all self-imposed. This is all self-inflicted, and it's just like, what do you expect's going to happen with the player engagement when you don't invest in it?
No,
so again.
No, I was just gonna say, we're gonna get to it later, but the idea of self-sabotage, self-fulfilling prophecy, whatever you want to put it in there, part of it is the fact that they're doing it themselves. I mean, I screamed about it forever. Is like custom game modes. We can handle making up modes for you if you give us the tools to do custom. Let me change the dials. Let me mess with all the dials, the kill timers, like, things have a million damage or whatever it is, and have like one-hit kills, and you could mess with that stuff as players all day long.
Yeah.
But on the other side, it's like, so we're gonna get Checkmate, which could be a little bit of fun, longer kill times. You've got Relic, which is another party mode, which not a lot of people in PvP are like, I don't want another party mode. I'm good. This is just like a casual player. And then they've got matchmaking where they're adding some of it seems okay. Like the Fire Team matchmaking kind of works, at least I'll give it that. But and we get one map, and then we're like, okay, so we're going to get Citadel back at the end of this year. And then what?
Yeah, reprise. It's all self-imposed. And the thing is, it's just like, the other thing to me is they just exposed themselves as, okay, we don't have a dedicated PvP team. Yeah. Why is that? That used to be the case, right? Why is that? And again, all I could assume is that your priority is no longer Destiny. It's extremely disrespectful and disappointing, to be honest, for a game that people have invested. And the continued theme is, well, we see whatever verse gets. We see how many more.
Yeah, you're stealing my thunder a little later, but you got it. No. Yeah, it's a thing. Go ahead. Yeah.
So it's clear your priority to updating is anything that you can monetize. If you can monetize it, it gets updated. We're getting that, right? We ain't even gonna go into the free-to-play model or the free-to-try model, whatever it is that we're doing now. But at the end of the day, that's the part that's just so disheartening. And it's just like, we've talked about it, Trav ad nauseam, if you're a PvP main, how it feels. But this is the last point I'll say, 'cause I know I'm saying a lot of points, is that I just gotta be real. I feel like they're taking a calculated risk, whatever these projects are. Probably Marathon is on one of them, right? And I can't help but feel that if you make Destiny PvP attractive, does that affect, you know what I'm saying? Does it affect your new baby? Is this a self-imposed sabotage to help Marathon's PvP?
But on the reverse side to that, I mean, I know it's a small, tiny list of people, but it's like a couple of the comments are like, why the hell would I ever try Marathon if they treat their PvP like this? So on the other side, like if you have a PvP community, even somebody like, what is it, Moist Critical, like massive YouTuber and stuff, he microtransactions. When somebody who's not in the Destiny universe sees a YouTube video, then does a reaction video about a game the dude doesn't even play, I don't think. Yeah. And that one gets out there. And then it's like, okay, so Marathon's going to be there, but also it's like, how's PvP in Destiny? It's been garbage. That doesn't really bring a lot of confidence into it. How are they going to treat it? How are they going to monetize it? So yeah, it's like I wonder too as well, because as you said, they pulled the PvP main group. Some left. You had like John.
All our guys is over there.
Oh yeah. Well, you had like a couple people that went to like Firewalk or something. A couple I forget the name of the studio, like John Wisniewski and one other. They left. I know they were PvP mains. Lars, Scott, Christopher Barrett, whoever was in the Marathon video. I mean, you had some leave, you had these leave, and that's your PvP. I mean, they want dedicated servers, they want security, they want all that type of stuff, which is like the PvP dreams. And then you're like, okay, so did your PvP developer base get that gutted you didn't feel you could build it back up? But also, being as it's been 4 years, you didn't feel like you could go out anywhere and hire somebody to help build that back up? Like, that's the question as well. It's like, I understand you may have been gutted, but you've had a long time to try and get back. And honestly, like at this point, I think people would take, even if it's not like the best map in the world, at least like try something. There's got, I mean, I know it's not one person over in a corner making it. It could be involved like multiple people, but it's got to be, you've got to try. And again, if it's been that, if the PvP resources were kind of gutted and you're slowly building it up, it's, at this point, it's too slow for the players if you want us to still engage. I mean, we'll get to Gambit in a second.
Yeah, I mean, not too much to add. It was just, this was probably, this is one of the worst. This was, and I want to be clear. I want to say something respectfully. Like, I respect every developer over there who makes content, right? I know this is not easy, and in fairness to them, from a PvE standpoint, they probably create more content than any live service game, or up the top of echelon. I will have to give them that.
So I will not be
and that's the priority. Making the content aren't determining what the priorities are.
Thank you, Trav. I want to be clear.
Or who they're hiring or any of that.
That's
stuff.
high up decisions.
That's what I want to be clear at. My beef is with the higher ups. Developers at Bungie, I love you. You guys make great content when you're allowed to make the content you're supposed to make. But when it comes to the decisions up top, I've got a problem. This is the okie doke. This is the finesse. You can't tell me you just got a bag from Sony. You just got financial stability. Right. And we are supposed to say this is a good thing. This helps you. And then you come to us and say, hey, bro, so all I can do is just this one map, for the upcoming future. And, but Gambit. So you know what? You don't even worry about playing that. If you don't want to play these modes no more, just play one mode 9 times.
Yeah, your ritual playlists are all now optional and whatever you want to live in. And like the big thing for Vanguard, we're getting strike scoring, and I'm like,
like the financial guys. I'm sorry, y'all too dominant right now, and y'all got the sad realities. If y'all don't turn this around, y'all gonna learn a hard lesson with player engagement, because I've been watching the player engagement, at least on Steam.
The Steam number is one of the lowest I've seen in a while. I did look.
Boy.
Yeah, by the way, Achtung Baby Blog comments, I like PvP games where I don't spend a second thinking about how they're going to make maps. They just make them.
Yeah.
That is 100% true. And I feel like in recent years, Bungie has used transparency as a substitute for competence as a studio. Hey, look, we can't do this thing. We can't make a good expansion. We can't put out content that you want to play, but we'll be super transparent about our lack of ability to do it.
Yeah, this is higher ups, man. There's some internal, decision making that I just don't agree with. Yeah, strategic that it's very risky right now. They could be in danger. And look, last thing I'll give it to you. Last thing I say is, look, Final Shape could be great. I'm not going to say doom and gloom, but at the same time, they are playing with fire right now because this is the first time in a long time, probably since Curse of Sight, since we started, that the community collectively is like Travis. Everyone is where Travis has been. They are there now. They're like, nope, this ain't it. You doing the okie doke, Bungie. We're not having it. No, this is a unified front. So I'm curious if there's going to be a pivot. I'm curious to see if this will, because I am actually seeing the numbers go down substantially on Steam charts, and I'll tell people
like this is always one of the best years in gaming.
Play other games. Yeah.
If you lose your content creators. If you lose the datas, and other people were saying leave or say
True Vanguard out here making videos talking about.
True Vanguard's been making like 20 Remnant videos, like
about to be a Starfield main.
Yep.
Like, bro, it's crazy out here. Like, play what's the F around? You gonna find out. I'm sorry, but okay,
I don't know if it's quite that, but yeah, like, yeah. I mean, then you get to the Gambit section. It's like. So, unfortunately, the updates they made didn't move the needle for player engagement. And it's like, can you even tell me, off the top of your head, what they did to Gambit for, they said primeval tuning, invasions, ammo economy, core activity fundamentals. It's like, but yeah, you said it, Travis, is like nothing really moved the needle. They didn't do, I mean, we joked about, hey, you could just do like PvE only, like boss mush road, so you're not invading. You could change things up. It's like when you do get a gun in a Gambit playlist, it's got 12 million perk combinations, but if there's actually a decent gun in one of the main playlists, it's almost impossible to get it. Like my Riptide chill clip took me way too many rolls. So we are going to get sometime during the year of Final Shape, by the way, not for at least 6 months. We are going to get the Cathedral of Scars, like the Dreaming City map for Gambit, ported up to the current version of Destiny. But they also say Gambit is completely optional. As you said, the three ritual playlist, the 3, 3, and 3, is now just going to be probably a checklist of do 3, get an engram, do 3, get an engram, do 3, and get an engram. But it's just going to be of your overall rituals. You could run 9 strikes, 9 PvPs, and never touch Gambit again. And you want to watch those numbers drop even more than they already do. And they also said they're going to get some of the seasonal challenges away from Gambit as well. They may as well just take Gambit out. Like, it has potential as a theoretical work, like something. But like they've given up on it, and it is kind of done. So the fact that it's going to be there, they're just like, hey, it's going to live in the directory and make the little 1, 2, 3 look nice. But it doesn't serve much more than kind of a directory placeholder at this point because they truly have made it 100% optional thing. There's going to be a machine gun in there, but we also figure out from today you're going to be able to go craft a retrofit escapade if you farm enough, and that's just probably a better gun anyway. So Gambit kind of died, and then as I said, Vanguard
killed Gambit in the state of the game.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Hey, it's the state of the game. Crucible's got 1 foot in the grave and Gambit's dead. Happy gaming, everyone.
Hey.
Excited for August 22nd? You excited?
Pre-order Final Shape. They coming soon. Coming soon, y'all.
Yeah. Pre-orders are now open for the Final Shape. We're bringing
the Final Shape is less content.
Nathan Fillion returns to bury Crucible and give it its final death. Yeah,
it's like the the Flash Show meme where he's leaning by the grave with a little peace sign.
Yeah, dude, like, yeah. That's Nathan.
I saw that one.
Fillion's gonna stop by to take a pic with 2 of the 3 dead modes and crazy.
Okay, so Vanguard is gonna get strike scoring and medals again. Does that move the needle for you guys? I kind of want to know. Is that anything that's exciting about it? Does it matter? Nightfalls and Vanguard getting strike scoring.
I predict that 1 year from now they'll be like, "Hey, we added medals to strikes and it did nothing to move the needle, so we're burying strikes."
I knew where that sentence was going before you even
knew that was coming.
Yeah.
I knew. I like you started that sentence, and I was like, "Oh god."
Yep, I already knew it was
I know.
You're like, "Oh no, he's right.
Yeah.
He's right. That's what's gonna happen." They're gonna be like, we tried really hard. We added medals, and for some reason, nobody wanted to play the same strikes over and over again. So I guess now we got to kill.
But also, it's like, okay, so porting a strike forward. I don't know what the lift is, but at least if your PvE content is popular, they pulled a lot of strikes out of the game. And again, there was a point we thought it was in the vault for a while to eventually come back. These things aren't making a comeback, and unless they pull a DCV, like, whatever my miracle prediction was, like, unless they pull one of those, like, and which does not seem possible because lifting a map. Oh, by the way, when we were talking about what's the lift for like Wrath of the Machine, we can't even get a map right now. So
I knew Wrath was over when I was like, "Oh, this is it." You talking about a new asset? Oh, you talking about a new enemy class and rework an exotic? Now, what is it? What you call it? Prime? Oh no, we ain't getting that. I was like, we gonna get some Crota. We gonna get some nice, small and cute. I was like, yeah. I already see what it is now.
All right. Well, I mean. It's just the battles that they're picking are very strange to me. If they're really so, honestly, I don't know if you guys have played Final Fantasy 14, but
14 or 16,
14 MMO, right?
Oh, the MMO. No, I've never played it. I gotta play it. I've never played it.
The MMO does this thing that I really respect, which is that they often have a lot of content that you can play, but when they don't, the games director comes out and says, "Hey guys, we're gonna be heads down working on the next expansion. Don't play our game for a while because we don't really have the resources to work on content, and we're not gonna half-ass anything with like content trying to keep you logging in. I don't care if you log in, just go play other games. We'll be here. We'll bring you back in a bit when we've got something to show." And it seems increasingly like Bungie is, I empathize with them. Obviously, I know how hard game development is because I talk to game developers every day, and I'm very close to teams that make games. But I feel like they're walking a very sensitive line of like wanting to keep everybody engaged and not really having the determination to actually create something that is worth playing. And so they're shipping all this mid content to keep players engaged. And I would include the entire Nightfall expansion and its seasons in that. And I feel like at a certain point, the live service model fails you if you're not willing to actually commit to that model of creating content. And, if you don't have anything for strikes, tell people not to play strikes for a while, right? And adding medals, adding one map to Gambit, do you really think that's going to get engagement?
It's like, at this point, why add the map to Gambit?
Yeah, are you really giving
Make a map for PvP
reason? Are you really giving people a reason to log in? Or should you, if you were really being honest with yourself, are you guys super under a crunch about the final shape and you're just fully focused on that, and all of this shit is just more homework for you that you don't need? Should you just say, look, you can log in and play strikes if you want. We're not going to do anything special to support it. See you in 6 months for final shape. I would respect that way more than this, like, breadcrumb method that they're giving us of like just mid content that no one really asked for or is excited about. It just really bothers me.
Yeah, no, it's the decision making, and at the end of the day, it's like, again, I still struggle with the financial, I feel, focused decisions, because I think part of this, you remember we went to the GCX when they were talking about the debut of the seasonal model and why they were moving away from the expansion model, right? And to give this consistent thing all year. But part of me now has to think, okay, yeah, but also you're cool with providing paid, if you want to say mid, but less robust content on a consistent basis. You're cool with that. Then the other thing with the DCV, it was just, we're going to take this stuff away. This game's getting too big, and we're going to bring it back.
Call of Duty's twice the size.
Exactly. And the thing also is, we still neglect, here at Last Word, we talk about this, but what also wasn't in this state of the game was the new player experience, which is still woefully
That was my discussion with Andy on the floor.
Woefully undercooked. Like, there's no Red War campaign. There's no starting base. There's nothing for a new player to come in here and know what really is going on. And Travis, you know, when his friend came in there hilariously, would log in and get pop-ups of like 5 different missions to go here, go there.
Enjoy
and then
your Nescafe. What the hell?
Yep. And the minute you're done, it's like, all right, boom, here's this money, pay for like it's just all over the place. So from a foundational level, from a structural level, the base is not good for the new player experience. And now the ritual activity, you're saying you're not doing anything. And this is where we are. So it's just, yeah, it's disheartening. It's disheartening. It's just, I'm very curious to see, you know, what this long-term plan, these risks that they're taking, clearly not on Destiny, what they are, that they cannot do this right now. I'm very curious to see if this was the right decision long-term, whatever they decide.
All right, now it's my turn to be a little angry.
Uh-oh, let's go.
Because it was just like, it was so blatantly, honestly, just a lie in here. I just have to laugh. But I was just like, it's part of what I've talked about. I told you it's an armor thing. They said a long time ago, we shared a plan to address concerns on reward balance. Players have pointed out that we didn't release a new armor set for ritual playlists, as previously called out on a yearly release schedule. Delivering ritual armor sets at the rates we have in the past has become increasingly challenging, especially considering these sets have historically had very low adoption by both players as the base armor and cosmetic ornaments. I'm going to turn around and tell you exactly why they don't get adopted. 1, cosmetically, they are the most generic sets that you can put out possibly on anything. They are suit of spaceman, whatever it is. The moon set is a spacesuit, and the moon set looks better. On the other side, as a base set of armor, these stats are so terrible. Just to test it, I went to the Vanguard and I focused a piece of armor and I got a 52.
Oh, no.
Focus. I got a 10 in discipline, but I got a 52 from a focused ritual set. No, I'm sorry for the language coming up, cover ears if you need to, but no shit, they don't get adopted.
Yeah,
like,
that ain't it, bruh.
Oh, I read that and I'm like, and then on the other side, everyone will come out and say Eververse is swimming in jellyfish armor. Now, I will say the dungeon got good armor. The season got jellyfish ornaments. The season pass got jellyfish ornaments. But if you're telling me there is somebody who can't make an armor set in a year, I call BS. I mean, I really do. Like 1 year to make 1 set of armor and you got 3 color palettes on it. That's all that set is that we're talking about. And the stats are terrible. So 1, if you want it to ever be adopted, maybe 1, make them a little more unique. You have a year. Let an artist who truly does, like, it's not a PvP map. Let an artist tinker for a year. Have fun. Or however long they get to. And then on the other side, if you want stats, have them occasionally roll, not garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, also another complete issue, like when it comes to armor, it's like, I have a class item. I never need to see a class item again. And I've got enough ornaments and skins for that anyway. So my stats are and at this point, I'm kind of getting to the point where I was like, Artifice armor. I'm like, well, if I have a 67, like on a normal that has a good stat roll, the equivalent of that is a 64 perfectly distributed Artifice armor to be the same. And at that point, I'm like, it is not worth the effort to go for it. The juice is not worth the squeeze for Artifice, even for the +3, because at that point, that's all it does. But no, I mean, yeah, that is the easiest paragraph for me to tell you why. And it is so blatantly obvious, like, oh, they're not adopted that much. And ornaments, like, they are the most generic ornaments that we've ever seen. And then the base armor, it's terrible. If you're just basing it on stats, as you've got loadouts now, it is just garbage stats. That's why. Yeah, I mean, that was... Anyway, you guys can say what you want on this one. I went off in my video on that one, and I was just...
I think we beat this thing to death. We know what's going on. And like I said, it's very curious.
That seemed like a footnote to me. It was like they just kneecapped Crucible and shot Gambit in the back of the head. And then now they're talking about why they're not giving out seasonal armor. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I don't care about this. At this point,
the ritual armor is the Gambit of armor sets. Yeah, there you go. That pretty well sums it up.
Oh, that ritual armor, it'd be super trash. But
we are getting a new Trials set of armor for season 22, so they can make something. Trials does require you to own the expansion, though, so that is a paid content pathway.
Yes.
I think that's the Titan one I'm looking at. Kind of looks like a bear situation. I think so. I don't know. They go into game security. I'm not going to all that. They have been working on it. It's a constant thing. Again, I'm not the one who writes like an algorithm, but I know I've seen little clips here and there on Twitter about cheaters when they're like, why do they have heavy in the first round? That should be an instant flag. Like whatever your game is, whether it's in the code, in PvP, in your anti-cheat, if you for some reason fire a rocket and it's round 1 of trials, your account is suspended until review. Like that should literally not happen. Now, I don't know how you do
what
checks.
If it's a bug that lets you bring, you know what I mean? Exploits are allowed. Like what if you join a trials match when you're firing a rocket in a raid, and then that causes you to enter the match with heavy ammo, like stuff like that.
I mean, there could be weird things, but that's why I said suspension, not ban.
Yeah.
So it was like, but there are things that I've heard people like flying around, like player movement velocity. Like there's certain, I feel like, flags that I'm not a security developer for. So again, arm-chairing hardcore, but I do feel like when it comes to that, like those are things that if you can visually see that this is messed up, I feel like, and again, maybe that's how good the cheats are as well. I don't know, but hence also why people want dedicated servers to, anti-cheat is hard. So yeah.
You say visually see?
Yeah, that's redundant. I know. Thank you. I know. Fair. Stability updates. I will say, stability-wise, patches have been better. They did say they talk about the claim system. Tuesday patch has been down for whatever 90 minutes. Comes up, hasn't been going down. I'm going to give them that, at least for the time being. It does seem improved. I don't know if it's perfect. I don't know if people are getting crashes. Mine has been stable. I'll just say that with the giant.
PC has been good.
Yeah. Seasonal structure. Let's see. Oh, they said, although we'll talk a bit more about this in our showcase, we're giving ourselves more freedom to stretch narratively in the gameplay systems throughout season 22 and 23. We hope you enjoy the rides. As for the seasonal narrative part, there are going to be like one more like additions to the Veil containment. I know that's part of their main narrative push. How would you guys like to see a seasonal narrative delivered? Weekly, all playable on week 1. Where would you like to see? Yeah, don't get Prescott started on narrative. He's gonna just he won't be happy about it. I'm just saying like the delivery of it, not the actual like content that whether you're retconning or otherwise, that I'm not going for, but just the delivery of it. Do you want like 3 packed weeks? Do you like the 6? Do you not want to be spoon-fed? Do you just want to knock it out in 1? Like, where do you guys feel you would like to see it?
I don't even know, man. I actually defer. I'm curious what Travis has to say on this because I don't even know anymore. Because there's been some examples where they executed it, I felt okay, pretty decently.
Yeah. I don't mind a weekly thing personally. Like if you have a live service model and that's how you're telling your story, like that's fine. My problem has really been with the quality of the content and the fact that in order to extract the story, you have to engage in really repetitive activities. Every week it's like do the same thing you did last week and then get a slightly changed storyline on top of that. But I know that creating content is hard. Ironically, one of the easy ways to make that less annoying is if the content you're repeating has a multiplayer competitive component where it doesn't feel like you're doing the exact same activity over and over again. So I don't know, it always cracks me up that like the most replayable content in a live service game is the content that Bungie seems to have no interest in working on. But yeah, it's whatever.
Like I said, there's examples when it was good and I'm like, okay, this is cool, and there's examples where I was just like, man, this didn't hit, and I just kind of want to hurry up and get to where this is going. You know what I'm saying? But I'm in the middle. It's kind of like you guys just got to tell a good story. If you tell a good story, you make me stay, right? It's really as simple as that. But where are you at? You think, are you done with this season? I've always got the sense you don't like the drip feed.
It's a balance. Like Zach in chat was saying, some seasons like Risen, story wrapped up in 3 to 4 weeks. That one, actually, you had a different, like, battleground each week. So you saw, so it was like an intro of each battleground. You had a story beat, and the 4 was the finale. That was like a pretty fast cadence, and you had meat on it. You had Caiatl, you had, I cannot think of Iron Banana Guy, Saladin. And you had Crow, and you had the like implications of what happened when Crow lost. Like he was about to lose his life, and then Saladin steps in. Now he's Brackus Forge. Cool stuff. Like that was actually cool. Now, granted, it didn't move a lot for the story, but that was also with an expansion. But that was like a good cadence. Turn around and you see this time where we had Season of the Defiance, where we literally just had 6 weeks to kill Amanda, and not a lot happened. And while we did have variety in the locations, which I didn't mind, you went through them twice. So it's like, if you've only got 3 to go through, use the story as a way to show me what you want, show me the new stuff, show me the variety. That's fine. And then if it's like, okay, you're done at 3 weeks, wrap it up in 4. Deep dives felt a little stretched. Like, I like deep dives.
I like deep dives.
But, like, the story was stretched, I would say. Yeah. So it's like 4 is good. I know that leaves a longer point in the season. But also that would be if the season was 4 and then the seasonal holiday event was fresher, that wouldn't be so bad. But you would actually have to invest in the holiday event, which is mostly just Eververse and microtransactions. So I don't know how much they make out of those. But if that was actually reinvigorating each time, had a couple of the things in between, you know, you could have some fun with your timing there. But I mean, the ones that were a little shorter have felt better. The ones that they haven't done like an 8 or a 9 in a while.
Right.
So I don't know. But they also say, I mean, last season, they're like, hey, we're going to get rid of the grid model. They moved the grid to the seasonal challenges.
Yeah.
Now they made to where you could unlock like 7 out of 10 in the first week if you grinded out, which I appreciated. There were a couple that were time gated, but not too many. So again, if they can just drop the grid and figure out a way to do that, not a developer, saying it again, but if they like truly drop the grid and like season 22 is different, then that would be kind of I'd be curious to see how that plays out. So again, more like if the story and the activity justifies it, a little bit of length, but I mean, 4 to 6 feels like kind of the sweet spot for them. Any longer than that, it's definitely getting long in the tooth, I would say.
I don't even know if people have a problem with like, because the grid is just an upgrade path, right?
Right.
It's not a particularly offensive idea in a game. Like you want upgrade paths, and seasonal upgrades are not a
It's more than just you stare at it for 5 weeks. Like, can't get that till week 5.
Yeah, it's you stare. It's the time gating and the fact that how you upgrade it is you replay the exact same activity with no narrative progress or anything like that. So I would just say, look, if your story is 3 to 4 weeks long and that's what you want the story to be, make the upgrade path take 3 to 4 weeks to complete and make it align with your story. Or if you don't want it to have time gates at all, then allow people to unlock it early without having to stare at it that entire time. So I just think it's more the way the grid has been implemented and the fact that every single season we know we're going to hit that button and we're going to pull up a grid and it's going to have upgrade path. And it's just like the level of predictability and like the formula gets really dry after a while. But the idea behind it of like, hey, every season there should be some sort of progression system. I don't think that's even that big of a deal. I just think it's, the way that it's been presented and the way how stale it's gotten has started to become offensive, especially to me, because I never completed those grids. So like now, never, dude. I've never completed one of them because I play through the story and then I jump back in Crucible, and my Crucible efforts have historically not been rewarded at all in season. So I'm out here just beating my head against the wall of the soon to be dead multiplayer mode, formerly known as PvP. But yeah, I think they should just present it differently. Maybe make it easier to complete for people who are not going to log on 12 weeks in a row and prefer to log on for just the 3 or 4 that they actually have story content for.
I mean, the fact that we're going to be in like week 12, get something for Veil Containment for people who haven't played in almost 6 months, and that's potentially a decent story reveal. It's like that part's a little rough on the story. So it's like the Veil Containment. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I approve on that one, because at this point, as I know it's a weekly thing, I'm going to wait till the final week of the season, go park my butt in front of there and just record it all so I've got it. But most people, I mean, Cassie and other people have like called out, hey, check out Veil Containment, aka our method didn't work, so a lot of people have missed this kind of thing.
Pretty much.
For season 22, they have a couple quality life upgrades. You're going to be able to favorite shaders. There's our fashion guy.
Destiny, look, Destiny, we approve of this. We approve.
I mean, that is a good feature.
Yes.
I don't know why you put it at the end of the seppuku post that you created.
Let's go.
If you don't know what seppuku is, Travis, would you please tell the audience?
If you do not know what seppuku is, I will serve as your Kaishaku Nin when you commit it. I am more than happy to do that. So.
You've clarified it greatly. Thank you. Go play Ghost of Tsushima. It's kind of great.
Yes.
Seppuku is a ritualistic suicide, and the Kaishaku Nin is your partner who beheads you at the quote moment of agony once you've successfully disemboweled yourself. I give you relief by chopping your head off, which is, you know, it's good. I look. I'm not a big fan of Japanese culture, but they got some things right.
This is the highlight he chooses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course it would be.
We have
Stasis aspects and fragments are moved to the vendor system. Again, just kind of like, sure, long overdue, but sure. Transmats will now be unlocks as opposed to consumable. I feel like this is kind of late to the game. I feel like ghosts need to have ornaments. Because, I mean, what's the point? Like, ghosts need to have ornaments and the mods don't need to have costs. Just like, that's just weird. They're going to have a resource tab added to collection. So, like, your seasonal, all of your currencies are now going to have a whole thing. You get your own page of seasonal tokens, armor synths, world event, miscellaneous, all your currencies in a whole different book.
How convenient. There we go.
Iron Banner challenges will be split. So those who want to wear the armor to like get the reputation will be one thing, or no, to match the subclass, I think is one. And then if you don't care about the subclass, then you're going to be able to go after Pinnacle rewards a different way. It's like, so there will be a slight variation there. I'm honestly okay if they get rid of some of that, because it would always force like, hey, it's on Fortress and you have to be Void. I'm like, oh, come on. Like, pick another subclass at least to mix it up. Like Arc would be more fun. Like, ritual rank ups are going to happen immediately in game. I guess that's a weird thing. And then we've got some previews of stuff that's coming up mostly. And then they said reinforcing our goals for the year. They said they want to expand players' imaginations. If you want to have players' imaginations be how we can create and fix the game as an armchair developer, we're getting good at that.
We can imagine what content it is.
Bring challenge back. The bring challenge back to Destiny has gone over poorly for some people, I think. Enrich our content. We have questions about that one, but we previously discussed them. And connect our guardians. So they do say in 23, that's going to be your fire team finder. So not this season, but next season. So they're going to have that ready. Can't tell us too much. And that's the biggest thing. They say, can't tell you too much. Showcase is coming up. Showcase is coming up. Can't tell you too much. That's why this is also part of the other half of what I read, besides, you know, Crucible, we didn't build our studio the right way, and Gambit died. There's so much they can't say right now. That's why I feel like the timing on this is just odd. Yeah. They say the final shape and its raid, because people have had like different thoughts about the way they delivered the story experience. The final shape and its raid will provide a climactic conclusion to the Light and Darkness saga before we look ahead at what comes next in Destiny 2. Which that sentence makes me think two things. One, you're going to want to play the raid to probably beat the Witness. Just a hunch. No idea, by the way, just guessing, but it does seem kind of clear. The other one is, they say that those things are going to happen before they look ahead at what comes in the Light and Dark, before what comes next in Destiny 2. I'm like, so you remember before in Final Shape, or the Final Shape showcase, when I was like, hey, do you think we're going to get those title cards about the future stuff? Now I'm really questioning them. Like, are we not going to get anything about the future until we see Final Shape? And that is something I don't think the audience wants. A lot of people right now want to know if there's a reason to log off after Final Shape +2 or something. Like, if you beat the campaign, they're like,
right around that time, it was like we saw like the little diagrams, like Witch Queen. Then we saw Lightfall up there for the first time. We saw that kind of PowerPoint, so to speak, of what's to come. It is going to be interesting, right? At this showcase, if we get any idea post Final Shape, even if from a name, a code name perspective, or what it is, or if at all, you know,
some idea of the future, because there's a lot of people like, a lot of content creators, as Travis said, if you lose your content creators, that's tough. And content creators, like, I mean, we talked to a few of them, plenty of them on the floor. Names I didn't mention. Sorry if I forgot you. We talked to a lot. But some people like, how are we looking? Is this a game that's going to go on for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, or is this like this final shape? Is there a break? Like some people want to know for like channels, content in future. Like, do I need to like divert right now and start making alternate channels, working on covering other stuff? And again, that's not a bad idea in general, but also it's like as it's a main for some people.
Imagine if your livelihood was invested in Crucible's future and you read state of the game.
Bro,
how would that ruin your weekend?
That's why you keep seeing videos like I'm out, I'm done,
I'm out. It's like, yo, I don't have any confidence I should still be here. I got to pay the rent this month. Not with these PvP updates we ain't. Like it is what it is. It's being real.
So yeah, it's like, I mean, they've talked about bringing back the challenge in Destiny. They mentioned like, you know, Nightfall's coming in and stuff like that. And then for challenge, I think MRI said it. He's like, the difficulty's all over the place. You have Root of Nightmares, which contest mode, everybody kind of walloped. And then you've got Deep Dive, Pressure Trial, Level 7, absolute kind of kick your butt. And then Grandmaster, Psyops, Battlegrounds on the Moon, that's damn near not impossible, but extremely like probably not well balanced to a point it's very frustrating. So it seems to be very inconsistent on their difficulty right now. So I'm not entirely sure how that's going to play out. They say enrich their content. They got in Season of Defiance. You got the Avalon exotic mission. I did forget about Avalon. That's another one that will fall. I was trying to think like exotics that are going to go into the rotator next year. And we'll get to that in a little bit. They also mentioned this Pathfinder thing, which is so finally we called out back in February that we are initially targeting more changes to ritual content in the final season of the year. That'll be 23. While we made the change, the recent decision to push this initiative to final shape, so now 24, we have plans to replace some bounties with a more rewarding and engaging system tentatively called the Pathfinder. This is going to be debuted on the new destination and final shape, and we're currently nailing down a plan on how we can use this new system to replace the core ritual bounties for the new year. And it kind of looks like it's all, I mean, you can see literally some of them. If you've ever seen the filler graphic, like when they forgot to put something in a Destiny, it's that bright pink one. So they probably get to stand out and still gets missed sometimes. It looks like if you go through, and I wonder if that's a point where you're like, hey, you're in strikes, and it's because it's got a cone. So you got 5 options, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. And it's probably like, get 20 kills, get 20 sniper kills. And if you like, however your path kind of works through there, kind of like bounties. And then if you do a few of them, then you get a reward. I wonder if that's kind of what they're doing. Again, not a clue, just all speculation. And then they say the Fireteam Finder's coming in season 23. They'll say it's that, so at least that hasn't been pushed.
Yeah, still coming.
So that was the state of the game, and they dropped that on Thursday when lots of content creators, not all of us, but some were at GCX. So that was a fun thing to digest in a hotel.
How was this received at the show, by the way? Did it just take the wind out of the sails of that? Is that why Cog stayed in his hotel all Saturday? He was just crying.
No, Cog just had other stuff to do, which I don't know what it was.
You know what? You know what it was is he was on vacation and you were working. When he goes to GCX, that's his day off, bro. For you, it's your Super Bowl. You know, you're getting ready.
Florida in August, of which the suit man can vouch for, not the best weather for vacation. Granted, it's 106 in Dallas.
It is
right
if
now.
You stay in the hotel.
Well, fair. Nice. Yeah, he's on the Leviathan. You know, he's good.
Stay by the pool, yeah, dude. Yeah. He's callous, man. Black callous. He's chilling, homie.
Eat of worlds. I was chilling.
He's doing it.
No, I would say it was received very poorly by a lot of people I saw because I was coming in. I got in Thursday morning.
Lots of frowning faces at GCX.
Just like,
why did they put it out at GCX? That's so crazy.
Well, no, the worst part was like Chef Andy. Not a lot of people knew. Jared, who's part of the Bungie Foundation, one of the producers there. Not a lot of people knew him. I bumped into and talked to both of them, but Cosmo, a lot of people know Cosmo, and he's like the one recognizable face on the floor. And if people were walking up and talking to him, I got to imagine some of those were like, just maybe, I think people in person are still going to be a little more reasonable, but I got to imagine a couple of people tried to like say something, whatever, and he probably
set him up. Maybe Bungie was trying to kill Cosmo. They were like, we'll send him into the lion's den, and then right when he gets there, we'll unleash this bad news, and that'll Yeah, it was an assassination attempt on their community manager.
Suicide mission.
Bungie, not cool, man. Not cool, bro.
Like, hey, next time, warn and let me get home. Put it out on Sunday. I don't care. Just let me be home.
Yeah, but in all fairness, Cosmo definitely knew that was coming that day.
Yeah,
so
they know.
Good on him. That guy's got balls.
Oh, yo, good on them for still showing and doing that panel.
Yeah, he showed up on that
Yeah.
day when he knew everyone was going to hate him. So Cosmo's a real one, man.
He's a real one. I love Cosmo.
He and I go back, and he's great. Like I said, I don't have any problem with any developers at Bungie. I love your guys' team. I love your game, but as a gamer, I'm just disappointed. There's something wrong. Something rotten in the state of Denmark is what I have to say.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, I would say this. I felt like everybody that I experienced out there, the energy was respectful. It was fun.
Yeah,
people
generally
it was one of those like you grab a drink, you put your arm around somebody's chest, like, so about that state of the game, though, and everybody goes, oh yeah, that.
Yeah,
that was the consistent.
It was
energy
like the lingering rain cloud that was not too bad for the weekend. Because honestly, I had a lot of fun talking to a bunch of awesome people, had a good time meeting people and all that stuff. But it's like, if you think about how's Destiny doing, you're like, oh yeah, like it's just like the rain cloud that's kind of back there, not around you too much, but it's like it's in the. You're like, yeah, there's that still over there. Got to get to that at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Ran into a very popular PvP player right at the beginning of GCX, just after the state of the game dropped. To say they were upset was an understatement.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, it's like my dad once worked at a company. He likes to tell the story.
Speaking and they had somebody I ran into at GCX. Sorry, Carolee.
There you go. Oh, my dad. You ran into my dad.
Yeah.
He's a huge Destiny player. Huge Destiny player. Yeah, no, my dad told me this story once that at Thanksgiving they threw a giant feast for the team that he worked on. My dad's a carpenter, so he's like always worked in blue collar jobs, just doing stuff. And at the Thanksgiving dinner, they announced that they were laying off everybody at the dinner. And so they sort of did it as like a red wedding feast, right? Like they put a lollipop in your mouth and then they stick the needle in you, they like, it was like one of those things. And so that group responded by having an enormous food fight and destroying that cafeteria. They just started throwing turkeys at each other and like just going ballistic. And I love that story because it's like, you try to control, like I saw somebody in the comments saying like, oh, they probably did it at GCX because they knew all the content creators would be there and wouldn't be able to make videos about this state. I think that's extremely pessimistic way to view it. I don't think that that's what happened. I think probably they thought, oh, it'll be a good time. The community will be together. We can digest it, maybe do damage control. Cosmo will be there. I think they probably did it with the best intentions. It's just such a bad look. But yeah, that was very red wedding of them to invite PvP content creators into the house and then tell them that they were killing their baby. It's brutal, but whatever. There's no good way to break that news.
No, there's not.
Yeah, there's no good way. I mean, they showed up. I give them credit for even coming to the thing. I don't know if I would be able to come and face that, even though they didn't necessarily have anything necessarily to do with that particular state of the game, but. Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting, but I do think the energy was more positive. I don't feel, again, I can't speak for them. They know what they experienced or the people who rolled down on them. I could only go by what I saw, and for what I saw, I felt people were respectful and didn't really like go attack them or mention that kind of stuff.
I will say, the general vibe there, it's like everybody's gonna have their thoughts about it or whatever, but the general vibe at GCX was pretty fun and positive.
Yeah, I would agree.
I will want to bring up some news we got today before we get into the TWID, though. Our faithful commander, Zavala and Lance Riddick, rest in peace from earlier this year. We know we lost him. We had been wondering, kind of speculating what was going to happen. We do actually know now that he has been recast. And you've got the voice of Keith David, who you guys almost know the actual roles. Like I've seen him in tons of movies and stuff over the years, and then also Halo he's in.
He's a legend, dude.
Yeah, he's been around forever.
Captain Anderson.
He is an absolute legend. His filmography, his video game career, he's been in a ton of video games. Never forget, he's Captain Anderson in Mass Effect.
Captain Anderson, baby.
Captain Anderson. He's I love him in Community. You guys remember that? He was in one season of Community and he crushed it. He's probably like one of the only good things about that season. But yeah, this is, you know, Lance is still, my heart's still broken for the loss there. It's crazy, but like Keith David is a goated actor, and he's also a goated voice performer for video games. So, yeah, it's going to be surreal, but kind of exciting to see how he pulls off the final shape. I'm actually kind of excited. I mean, Keith David's a legend, dude. I mean, like, so it's pretty cool.
I was like, I would say the interesting thing is they are both very talented. Lance Reddick has such a distinct style to his voice, and so does Keith David. So he is going to have to make. He's not going to be able to like try and like be a Lance Reddick. I wonder what he'll
do. His
I think he's going to have to embrace a little bit more of himself because their voices are just far enough apart. Yeah, they are so distinct. I think it's going to have to be him. But also like respect the talent that's behind it as well, and his respect for Lance, you know, has got to be like off the charts. So when it comes to what he's going to give to the role, I think he's going to just give everything he can. It's going to be a different feel, but I still think it's going to be a very respectful one. So as you said, it's like in the unfortunate situation where we lost somebody way too early in life. I think Bungie has chosen
way early. Crazy.
Like I think they've got a good choice to see how this goes. And this also means I think like Zavala's got a lot of stuff to do.
He's got a lot of stuff
because they wouldn't go for somebody like him for like, let's just kill him off in final shape.
Well, I was actually thinking about that, and I was thinking maybe it is just a one game thing because Keith David's pretty prolific. I feel like he's got other stuff.
Busy. That is a good point.
And Nathan Fillion is too. And so I'm wondering, are they bringing all these characters back for one last hurrah because we're not going to be seeing a lot of these people.
You're going to kill off the whole Vanguard and we have a dark Vanguard.
I'm thinking Darkness and Light Saga. Maybe these roles are either not as important or perhaps gone altogether. I'm not really sure, but I could see it either way. I didn't take away from this that Zavala is here to stay. I just took away from this that he's definitely going to have a large role to play in the final shape at the very least. But I wouldn't bank on anything beyond this. It also perplexes me why they wouldn't. I mean, maybe the timing didn't work out, but this felt like it could have been announced at the state of the game and kind of leaned into GCX energy and maybe made it less of a turd sandwich. It just feels like a little odd.
That could be anything. Just when like you never know when contracts get signed, when things get official, stuff like that. Who knows?
So, yeah,
who knows? No, this is
in the works.
So I loved it. This was emotional because this is a subject that is really near and dear to me outside of Zavala and the Lance Reddick situation. This kind of stuff kind of bothers me when it came to like Black Panther and Chadwick Boseman. And to me, there's some things that, don't get me wrong, respectfully, like the characters that we love that played them and they passed away. You're like, damn, this is a huge void. But I'm always of the mindset that you cannot just kill the character off because of a human tragedy, that kind of thing. And some characters are important. And in the video game space, Zavala is important to a Destiny and what it means, especially the Titan Vanguard. So I love this. This is the type of stuff I want to see. I think Lance would have loved this, to be honest with you. You know what I mean?
I mean, he wouldn't love.
I mean, clearly, you know what
here.
I
mean.
He's looking down, saying like he's giving the 2 thumbs up. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. I think he would agree with this based on the circumstances, you know. And this is fantastic. He is a legend. Keith, man, I grew up with Keith. Like it couldn't have got any more better choice than this. So I'm excited to see what his spin on it is. One thing he did mention in his little video response, which I like that he gave to the community, which showed me a reverence for the role, the understanding the gravity of the situation and how with the Destiny community, how we love Lance. Like Lance was Destiny. Like he breathed it. So to see him talk about that and the integrity of the character and how he watched how Lance played it, he's going to try to bring that to it. And then obviously we'll see what his own little inflection is. But this is great. And again, we'll see what happens for the future of Destiny. But from a voice actor standpoint, I'm always a fan of this type of stuff. So yeah, this was cool to see.
Final thing we got for today, once the TWID did actually drop, still weird to say it. You don't know if I'll ever get used to it. It's like it's 10 years ingrained.
Oh my god, I still
TWID. The TWID.
No, I mean it's 10 years ingrained. I've crossed it every other week.
Shouldn't it be TWAB and they should just merge them together?
I guess unless they're when Marathon comes out, if they're doing 2 different articles, that's my only guess. They're just setting the precedent now. The one big piece that we got out of this week, outside of just like times for the showcase, which is exactly what I think they said before. August 22nd, 9 a.m. Pacific is the showcase. 8 a.m. Pacific is the pre-show, which we've seen the pre-show before with testimonials and stuff like that. Shout out to some of them that they probably recorded at GCX. I got a free art book, so maybe I'll be in there, maybe I won't. But unfortunately, like my thing about the showcase being 9 a.m., I feel like they've done 2 hours before like the season drops. The showcase, the new season drops 1 hour from the showcase. Like I'm barely going to be able to like digest the showcase, and it's like new season out. It's like it's so fast. So to be able to figure out what they talk about final shape, maybe the future, jump into the new season, it's like I don't even know when I'm going to digest that stuff. It's going to be a weird cadence of videos. I know that. And that would be a good time to have like Az across his editing team. He'll just watch it live, record, send it off, and they'll have it up in his channel in like 30 minutes. So shout out to him. But the big one is the exotic rotator. And I'll be honest, kind of a W. This actually, they're doing more with the exotic rotator than I thought they were going to, because you want to know, I want to point something out. We're over 160 minutes in, and the show's at 1440p. Hasn't picked up once, clean, smooth. And once the stream ends, we all know I'm going to do the dance of joy. I know, dude.
You needed to hear that. You needed to hear that.
The fiber is alive, and I was like, as many people in my neighborhood as can get it, then they'll be happy too. So it's half the price. Half the price of what I was saying.
Is it a small business, by the way?
No, it's AT&T.
Like that sucks.
Like, well, I mean, no, it's literally going to be AT&T or Spectrum in Dallas, Fort Worth. Like, you have 2 companies. That's it. They all bought the rights for everything.
Part of the cool thing about fiber is in a lot of counties, it allows third parties to like use their infrastructure to provide their own service. So it's like a competitive edge. And so that's allowed like California to have a ton of like small businesses that are basically just like sticking it to Comcast and AT&T. And it's awesome.
Yours is ridiculous. It's like 10 a gig for like $40 or something ridiculous. Yours is?
Yeah, I pay $60 a month. I get 10 gigs. And the best customer service I've ever had, not just by any ISP, but by any like company.
That's crazy. That's
like,
impressive.
They're the nicest people. Yeah, like there was fires a couple years in the area where they're located. It's like north of San Francisco, and their employees personally sent me a message being like, "Hey, sorry if we respond late. Our house is burned down, and we're all sleeping in the office."
Oh my god!
Together. And I was like, "Bro,
you're good."
I was like, "Yeah, I think you're off the hook, my guy." Like, Jesus. Like, yeah, like. I refer everyone I've ever talked to in the Bay Area. I refer to them. I'm like, these guys are the coolest dudes I've ever worked with. I've never had complaints for them. Super good. And it's like, I hate Comcast. I hate them. Like I will never move to a place that forces me to have Comcast or AT&T. That's an immediate deal breaker.
Agreed. Horrible experiences with them.
They're also lobbying to make it harder to do the things like they want to, add premium routes to the internet.
Internet should be a utility, and they're going in the opposite direction.
They want it to go the other way. Just if anything you can do to not support those guys would be awesome. So I recommend moving to places that don't escape the duopoly or whatever it is today.
Anyway, yes, shout out for fiber.
Awesome.
Yeah, but the fact that it was like no data cap, and then because we already have wireless through them, just because we get a couple options here as well. That's like, it's literally half the price. And it was half the price after I complained. It's less than half of what it was originally like bumped up to. So no, I'm pumped. Anyway, back to the exotic mission rotator. Sorry for the detour. They're actually doing a lot. So the seasonal exotic missions that when stuff goes into the content vault, the seasonal exotic missions don't have anywhere to go. They'd like to have a place for those. This is where they will live. Speaking of stuff like the Vexcalibur mission, and probably something that we're going to get next season because we're due, I'm sure. They will go into this in final shape here as well. They also say a place to get their catalysts. So something like Revision Zero's catalyst, stuff like that. And then also, this is the one I did not expect and kind of impressed because right now, your options for legacy seasonal rewards are basically dares, depending on what the week's rotation is, which there's a couple websites that have it. And then Zur and Banshee. And it's just like, throw a dice, hopefully you're home for 5 hours, Banshee has this role kind of thing. So they say each mission will feature a normal and legendary difficulty. Each mission will have a pool of seasonal weapons, and then it's going to kind of just, each one will have, like, the groupings will all work the same way. So Presage will reward Dead Man's Tale. It will now be craftable, and I think all of these are going to be craftable now. It also says it has a new trait pool. So if you have what you consider to be a good roll,
awesome.
Maybe there will be a new good roll. And then the armor and weapons coming from Season of the Haunted. So you've got Nezarac's Whisper, Bump in the Night, Tears of Contrition, Hollow Denial, Fire Fright Without Remorse, which I don't think a ton of people love those, but then you got Callous Mini Tool, Drang, Austringer, Beloved, like a bunch of PvP and PvE stuff. So decent one there. I think Vox Obscura is probably going to be the least played just by looking at everything we got. Dead Messenger, again, craftable with an additional trait. I don't know if it's going to be like an origin trait or what they're going to do. So some tweak there where you're still going to need to go unlock the craftable to get the good one. The weapons here are Explosive Personality, Recurrent Impact, Under Your Skin, which is a craftable bow, Sweet Sorrow, craftable arc auto rifle, Thoughtless Sniper, Peace of Mind, pretty popular PvP pulse rifle, and then the Tusked Allegiance armor set. Oh, I should clarify. To do Presage, you need to either own Beyond Light or Season of the Haunted previously.
Of course.
Vox Obscura, you need to own Witch Queen, same with the next Queen, or Season of the Risen, and then Operation
By the way,
Seraph
this
Shield.
is going to make it even more complicated because new players are not going to understand
I
why
know.
they can't play old.
If you got PlayStation, apparently that Sony partnership's going to do okay because coming up on August 15th, Witch Queen is going to be on PlayStation Extra and Premium.
So they're putting this down a second time because the first time they put what Beyond Light.
Yep.
So that's how they
Witch
utilize the
Queen's
relationship. Okay.
Witch Queen's going to be on there. 5 days from now, I guess. So Seraph Shield is the big one. I'm pretty sure that's the one that's going to be played drastically the most because one, it's revision 0, still craftable, but that thing has 4 intrinsic trait upgrades and 4 catalysts. And then you've also got the season weapons of Fire and Forget, linear, I believe, Tripwire Canary, craftable arc bow, Disparity, I forget what that one is, Path of Least Resistance, Judgment of Kelgrath, you got a glaive, Retrofit Escapade. Or a Void Machine Gun. That is a very good one. That is not in a raid. So you'll be able to work on getting that. And again, all of these legendaries will be ones that have a chance to drop, and I'll explain the drops here in a second, as red borders. And the big one, probably if you never got it, which shout out to Blackwings because he never got it, the Ikelos SMG. As for the Ikelos hand cannon, sniper, and shotgun, I could mostly care less, but the SMG is god tier. And then...
Doesn't Xur sell the Ikelos SMG all the time?
He sometimes does, but you would have to either... I mean, that'd be one of the places to use your deep side harmonizers. But again, like the actual God roll, I haven't seen since that season existed.
You're talking about the God roll specifically. I was like, I never got the SMG. Because it had a specific roll, right?
Yeah, I mean, you want Volt Shot Feeding Frenzy, so it's like if you ever... So the way the weapon crafting will work, the first time you complete the mission, normal or legendary, you're going to get the craftable pattern, period. You're going to get a deep sight one. If you extract the pattern, you have the gun. Easy.
Nice.
Each completion on normal or legendary will reward an intrinsic upgrade. Best example I have is Revision 0, where it was like the little baby stat bumps as you kind of got the completion upgrades. And then the legend...
Apparently I got all 3, but then I didn't do the... You have to do the mission again.
Yeah.
I did the 4th one too. But then after you get them all, you have to go back and do the event one more time to trigger it. So I just never did that part.
Yeah, it's good.
Just weird.
Yeah. And then every legendary completion will get you the catalyst. So if you want all the catalysts for Revision 0, you're going to be running it 4 times on legendary. Now for armor,
and cool. A little too late, I would say. Yeah, they've been promising a solve for missing catalysts and exotics for
a long time.
Long time.
It's sort of like one of those things where I wonder if we have a little bit of Stockholm going on. You know?
No, I mean you're not wrong.
Yeah, we're so happy by this thing, by the breadcrumbs you left us, the scraps that we actually got after years.
We recognize what's going on here. We just appreciate that it was remembered.
I'm taking a W where we get them. That's all I'm doing.
I get it. Yeah, no, it is good news.
So the armor and weapons. So the normal and legendary versions of the mission have separate weekly reward lockouts. So weekly mission rewards, 1 guaranteed deep sight weapon that has not had its pattern unlocked, and armor piece that has not already been obtained. If all weapon patterns and armor have been unlocked, you will get a world drop. On every completion, doesn't matter how many times you run it, you will receive an additional weapon from the mission's weapon pool. However, it's not like a knockout list or anything, and no guaranteed deep sight, but you can basically run it over and over, and you have a chance at deep sight. So farming your exotic missions for the stuff you're going for, You might be running these things a lot, but you do have a path to get some of these old weapons. Alongside the mission rewards, there's also the weekly challenge, which is going to be your director yellow guy. The weekly challenge has the same armor and weapons pool as the exotic mission. The challenge rewards will output be Pinnacle, one guaranteed deep sight weapon that you don't have the pattern for. If you have all the weapon patterns, you're going to get armor. If you have all of both, it's going to be a random drop. But the idea is for people who did not have some of these weapons and armor unlocked before, exotics and catalysts, they're now finally giving you a path to get them. And then I hope as they bring more of these exotic, and this is kind of the like, yes, it is good, but also it's like, okay, so you've got Excalibur for somebody who didn't buy Season of Defiance, for example. You're going to have to wait a year for this to get into the rotator. Then you're going to have the Defiance weapons that come in there. So it's just going to be a while. So it is, again, this stretching of the content when it gets there. It's like, it's good there's a path for him. But yeah, just a little, if you think about it long term, it is kind of takes a while to get there sometimes, but it is good to see. So, but yeah, you do have to own the expansions that these were tied to. So if you ever see a point where like Steam, PlayStation, Xbox have these things on sale, I mean, sometimes you see like the Legacy for like $19 or something like that. It's all the old stuff. Like that'd be a time to pick it up, that kind of thing. Other than that, they say like age gating changes, and all that is it sounds like legislation around the world. Bungie wants to make sure they honor it. So on the 15th, next week, you need to log into all of your stuff again. Whether it's the Bungie companion app, whether it's Destiny item manager, whether it's D2 checklists, whatever you have used their stuff for, you're going to need to re-log in again. So I would do it next week, as opposed to being at Final Shape, trying to use DIM and be like, oh God, what do I have to do? But do it next week before Final Shape Chaos happens.
Facts.
Compliant. PsyOps Battleground Moon is returned, and the reward is Braytech Osprey, so no thank you. And Showcase. Like, literally, I don't think there's a great perk combination on that whole gun.
Yeah, that's what I
got. All right, somehow we caught up with all of that in under 2 hours.
Oh, that's exciting.
Golf clap.
Gotta love a 2-hour show.
Yeah, I love it. Nice.
I joked with my wife. I was like, it's the time we have to blow through everything that it's not going to go extra long. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, there's still... Hold on.
Yeah, I forgot.
I was just going to say, Titans got crapped on yesterday.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah, they came for y'all. I like some of y'all exotic changes. ACD feedback I thought was pretty cool.
I can't decide if that's going to be worth it, though. I really can't. It doesn't seem like it is. Holofire
exotics are bad.
The annoying thing about Holofire is they're like, hey, they're going to replace it with a perk that lets you build more into sunspots. They don't tell you what that perk is. Why? Why would you leave it out? What the hell? The whole Ice Vantal, Doomfang, Pauldron, Eternal Warrior, it's all just into the tier 4 bonuses if you use the right type of weapon. Warlocks, if you like blinking, you'll be blinking more and happily. Geomags is literally just a buff for that one. It probably still needs to be more powerful, but as for Ionic Traces getting super energy,
like that.
Probably better because those are common. Wings of Sacred Dawn just live in the air. Winter's Guile, they're messing with Stasis on that one.
Yeah.
Hunters, Renewal Grasp, I heard that's actually coming back into reasonableness. Lucky Raspberry, they're just rebuilding. Just to take, and they're also making Arc Bolt grenades. It sounds like Arc Bolt grenades just overload in general or with the exotic. I can't tell the reading on that one, so I'll have to see. They're like, please use Arc Bolt grenades in PvE. No one does.
Yeah.
I think that's what that is.
That's what that is. Yeah.
Knucklehead Radar is going to be Knucklehead plus Foe Tracer. And then Foe Tracer is going to be the whole, if you match the damage type kind of thing, you're going to do more damage. And then also if you kill something that's been affected by an ability, you're going to make the Ionic Traces or Fire Sprites. The Foe Tracer is brand new. It's a weird name for what it does. Like, that's kind of one of the points. We have a skin. We just have it do something new now. Knucklehead Radar, if you want PvP information in-game, that's going to be your one to go for. Learn your maps. But ability preview. So, Towering Barricade, and they still haven't changed this, so this is my worry. They say the base cooldown goes from 48 to 70 seconds. Now, in my video where people are like, oh, you're not too happy about the nerfs, so it's like, I very specifically said, the Towering Barricade, you can do anything you want to that in PvP. If you feel like it's unbalanced, that's fine. When Warlocks hang behind a corner and get health and overshield all the time, probably, you know, you can have 6 of one, half does another, but a barricade is a wall. So I get it. Like, if it's overbearing, that's fine. But it doesn't say anything, like, if they up the cooldown of the barricade just in general, like in PvE as well, that's what I wasn't happy about. That doesn't need touched in PvE.
I get you on PvE. Yeah,
so that was my big argument. That's for the damage reduction and the health of it. They seem to balance that out for PvE. So that I understand. Now, the one
they up the damage resistance, though, versus PvE combatants, though. The resistance of the barricade has
because they lowered the health of it.
Yeah.
So it takes less damage because it has less health in PvE. I'm like, that part's fine. Just don't change my cooldown in PvE. Now, the one that I did not enjoy, they took my one roaming super. Travis and I both get like one good roaming super, and they upped the cooldown to make it act like a roaming super. I'm like, Thunder Crash is not a roaming super. And it is definitely not a roaming super in PvE. But I mean, even in PvP, if you're good enough to like weave through and clip somebody's arm as you drive by, and then get somebody, the percent of people who are good enough to do that, I cannot imagine it's that much to just like raise the cooldown. I'm like, if I could take a giant sledgehammer and throw it at a boss and I had any other alternative, but we don't.
It's interesting why they went after that.
Yeah, it's our one-off super.
Yeah,
one.
Interesting.
That's crazy that they think of it as a roaming super, by the way.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to see your data where people are like flying around. Is this in like the top of top trials where they're flying around and like clipping wings
that's
or
roaming
something?
Super, then the Hunter Blizzard Storm should be roaming super because those blizzards roam all over the map.
Oh, that one that just...
How is that not a roaming super?
The
super literally roams without the player.
Okay, Sinister, let me ask you this. Is there a point to where... No, I'm asking. He says, yes, they are roaming around clipping people. At that point, do you like have to give them a little credit for the skill to do that? Because depending on the map you're on, it's not like you're flying through doorways. They already clipped how far you can go with it as well, which already hurts in PvE. I can't fly as far in PvE. Now they make the cooldowns longer. Yeah, how many kills can you possibly get with Thunder Crash doing drive-bys?
Yeah.
Not enough that I think this is justified. So
I don't think Sinister should be talking about game design to anyone ever.
Sinister just hate Titans. That's
now,
he's 100
and that's fine. Like you can do that, and that's totally fair. But the other side, I will say, for the Titan love, when we got Strand, what did we get? We got Threadlings. That was Warlocks. You guys got kind of a weak one. I'll be honest. That's getting buffed.
Okay,
that's fun. That's getting buffed. That was kind of weak. Hunters, you guys got. I'm trying to remember. There were 3 factors to it. Sever, because like they have theirs. Suspend. It's very popular, but it is what makes Strand fun and viable in in-game PvE. And honestly, I feel like they're kind of killing it. I don't know if it's really going to be dead, but they take the suspend cooldown versus non-champion from 8 to 5 seconds. The suspend cooldown versus champion, which is typically the whole point of why you're bringing it in the game anyway, from 8 seconds to 3 seconds. The suspend is very, very short.
Champion, yeah, versus the champion. I mean, we got to be real though. Suspend is strong. Bro.
I mean, and they say it's like a skeleton key. I get it's very strong.
Yo, you could stop. You threw suspend on tormentors. Like suspend is no joke. Like it is a very strong.
It is a skeleton key for like champions, for example. Yeah. Like it just does. I agree that it's probably overpowered, but also. Your game isn't fun, so I don't know if maybe work on that. I don't know, just throwing it out there.
Just throwing it out there about the
just throwing it out there.
No, maybe it just feels like
maybe make more of your subclasses feel good, and then it won't be as bad. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like it just straight came in fun, and then now they're nerfing it down. I understand it's happening. It just feels like a lot, especially against champions where you do want to use it. It's the absolute weakest, and it's like threat of continuity seems pointless at this point. So
yeah, my statement, Cog, is more about like all the things that are weak and or useless, including in the Strand subclass that don't get buffed, and meanwhile they nerf the stuff that people.
No, I feel you. In defense of them, they are buffing at least they're buffing some stuff. So I was like, all right.
So stuff for the Warlock. I think E and I probably have a different perspective.
Yeah, for you guys, this is a direct attack because this is the base of your I get you. For Warlock, suspend is like some side option I gotta really spec into kind of thing. But I understand from a Titan perspective where you
and then granted for you guys, you get 30% more damage in PvE, and I feel like that could be 50 or 100, and it still might not be enough on those threadlings. They feel like you're throwing pillows at people.
Yeah,
So yeah, 30%. We'll see if it's enough. I still doubt it. That could be 50 and probably be fine. But Tangle creation cooldown will be faster. Sever, which I think makes Navigator even stronger now. Damage reduction is up to 40% for Sever. Silk Strike, more damage reduction.
I always forget what Sever does again. Why am I blanking on Sever?
Sever's the damage reduction. Like you
the damage
sever,
reduction. They give them, and then they do less output. Okay,
yeah, the Unravel's kind of different. The Sevel.
I get confused with that.
No,
that's what it is.
I wonder why, because the terminology is kind of confusing.
Yes.
The Hunter Threaded Scepter, which is the Spectre, which is the little ghost guy that you can dodge and make. That guy's going to be stronger and kind of basically pull more aggro. For the Broodweaver, you're going to have to tell me on the Wanderer.
Yeah,
Destroying a Tangle now creates a delayed suspending detonation.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Before we have to pick up the Tangle, throw it, and then it wouldn't even create an instant suspend. Like you have to wait a couple of seconds, and then it was just wasted because you going into danger to go get a Tangle, and then it wasn't instant. So now that they're saying, okay, I can destroy the Tangle, and then I can get a little bit of it. That's actually really good.
Yeah. A couple things other on that. Grapple, it's always going to prioritize grapple to matter the range. Thread of Propagation, Grant Strength, Thread of Continuity. They're crapping on, so not that one. Thread of Wisdom no longer requires a precision kill. That's a little easier to use. Thread of Isolation reduces the number of precision hits required to activate. Thread of Rebirth for your Threadlings. That one seems to be a little more viable. So it now creates Threadlings based on the tier of what you kill.
Yeah.
So that's most of it. So it was just between like they're messing with my Thunder Crash and they're messing with Suspend. I was just like, come on.
Yeah, Titans got hit hard.
That was just like I understand Suspend to a point. I mean, people like get the skeleton key piece of it, but as it is the that is the pillar of the Titan
of this Titan build. No, you're right. I get it.
And again, that was a personal biased reaction. Totally.
No, I get it. I keep forgetting that is key to the Titan strand.
Literally what our Barricade and our Exotic 4 strand both do.
Both do, right? Which is shoot out the 3. Yeah. I feel you. All
right. Now I'm out. That's all the information I have to cover.
Good. 2 hours.
2 hours. Nice and clean. Nice and smooth. It was a week behind too. I was efficient.
Yeah. So just every other week on the podcast, right?
I was like 3 weeks behind. How long ago?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you've been so busy.
I was gonna say, coming up, we're gonna see Travis every other week probably anyway. So
nah, I'll be around. I don't
You're not doing Starfield, so you're not gonna have to go Goblin.
I'm not doing Starfield anymore.
Still doing 3 games.
Sinister over here with Titan Tears. Yeah, cry me a river. It's fine.
Yo, Sinister's a hater. He's a Titan hater.
I know. Yeah.
I've never met a hunter that hate Titans more than Sinister, boy.
Yeah, I love that Sinister is taking sides on the Titanic. Enjoy the bottom of the ocean.
Too soon, I think, on something there, maybe?
Yeah.
No?
Too soon.
It's like, why are you...
Yeah, it's like, I hope you enjoyed your shatter diving for a year and a half, you bastard. It's like, cry me a river when you got to enjoy that one for a very long time.
Hilarious. Where's the...
Golden Gun still OP and half.
Where's this season ending? What's this next season coming? We got a week, 2?
August 22nd, so 12 days.
12 days. Okay.
The following Tuesday, not next Tuesday. Right. Log in on the 15th or 16th or 17th.
Yeah. So
relog into your stuff.
Yep.
Breathe. Take a break. Get bounties if you want to. Only if you're a creator. Probably just don't do it otherwise. And then 22nd.
Yep. And I might grab y'all fools up for another Nazareth boss checkpoint run to try to get conditional finality. God damn it.
If I'm on.
You got it. And I got the
No.
You get the Navigator?
What are you honking about? You get the
Navigator?
I got the exotic you get from the I don't know. I put it on and looked at it for 2 seconds.
The Strand one, right? The Strand Trace Rifle?
Or Wicked Implement.
Yes, I got that one. Yeah. So now the only exotic I'm missing is the bow from the...
Yeah, I never got that bow either.
Yeah, I don't even know what it's called or what it does.
Yeah, I don't even know what does that bow do?
Yeah, don't tell me. Don't tell me. I've been
you don't want to know?
No,
you don't want to know.
No, I want to know what bow? Because what
from this
the bow from the Spire
dungeon Spire.
Oh, honestly, Ticуу's is just as good. You're fine.
You don't want to know.
Don't tell me. I don't want to know.
You don't want to know.
I know that I'm not going to use it.
No, I mean honestly, Ticуу's is just easier to use, and as it's solar,
Did
it's
you
like.
Call me?
All right, Ticuu.
Did you call me?
Yeah, to me, Ticuu is just easier. The setup for it's hierarchy of needs, so I'll just ruin your day. But But no, it's like I got it and I haven't used it either, so it doesn't. It's not been.
I mean, I know. I just it's a collection game.
Yep.
Yeah, gotta get those addicts, man.
Yep. All right. Well, a nice, smooth, fibrous podcast.
Nice.
At 10 megabits per second, by the way, faster than I've higher bit rate than I've ever streamed. It's just
wow. I love how happy
I was like, and
you
not
actually do your job now.
I know it's weird. I can hope.
Tell me that upload though. That upload hit different for you because
dude, I chuckled. Like I haven't done a big today will be the one when I upload it to Spotify for the audio because it's usually a little chunkier. But I mean, it was even like half a gig, and I chuckled because it was like 10 seconds. I was like,
oh yeah.
I mean, I can't make a thumbnail while it's uploading anymore, so that's a thing.
Nah, bro, you suffered. We started this show, and I remember those were the
dude, there was middle of the show, there was the point where they were coming out every 4 weeks trying to figure out what node, what broke.
Oh, the internet issues you used to have. I had about
that was almost I think before Travis because it was
before Travis. Yeah.
Yeah, that was because I was
going to
have
an issue every other show. It would be like, this is down. We had to switch Discord server. We had to always switch the Discord server.
Oh, yeah, it was that. But I mean, it would literally drop in the middle. I was looking at Twitch Inspector and just be like, clunk, and it was just like a terrible node and stuff. Who remembers the subtle calamity, Bo? Forget what type. Been a while. All right, well. Seems like we probably all got stuff to do. Managed to tuck it into about 2 hours, so we may as well do it. Quick outros, Travis. Look at IGN, right?
IGN.com. Look at my review of Blasphemous 2, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We've got a couple other ones coming up. I'm gonna be playing Starfield this time next week. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter or X, whatever that is, if you want.
Yeah, it's still weird. I don't think I'll ever call it that.
Yeah. And yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff coming out in the next couple weeks that I'm super proud of, and nice to hang out with y'all and talk about Destiny. I have been playing a little bit of Destiny, so I try to log on and at least make sure I know what I'm talking about. Also, shout out to my buddy Warren. He's the he's the one who helped me get the exotic from the Ghosts of the Deep dungeon.
He pulled up.
Nice. Yeah, he was there. Yep.
Warren pulled up. He was so cool. He's part of the game.
He's called. He also started chemo this week, so shout out to him. Hope he's doing all right.
Okay, I got a quick about you. Oh my god, did you really?
Oh wait, are you guys gonna talk about the?
No, I'm not gonna say it on the show, but
Why not?
No.
Why not? What's wrong?
No, I will end this stream so fast it's not funny. No. Okay, and this has been the